who are in the city helping Iraqi forces counter the Sunni uprising in the north and the west of the country. The BBC's Beth McLeod is in Washington.
The US has been flying around 35 surveillance missions over Iraq each day for more than a week. They have now armed some of the drones that are over Baghdad to provide protection for the 180 American military advisors who are operating on the ground. US media report that they are Predator drones equipped with Hellfire missiles. They are not, the Pentagon press secretary was quick to stress, intended to be used against the ISIS militants that have overrun large parts of Iraq in recent weeks.
A man is starting a 6-year jail sentence after he was caught walking down a Birmingham street with a sawn-off shotgun in a plastic bin bag. 45-year-old Gary Rose was also carrying a large kitchen knife when he was spotted by the police in Cotswold Close in Franklin. Rose from Devon Road in Franklin, who's a convicted robber, tried to hide but was caught after the area was cordoned off. The gun wasn't loaded and he claimed he'd only just been handed the weapon by 2 unnamed people. 8 people have been taken to hospital after a crash involving 2 cars in Walsall. It happened in Darlaston Road last night. The injured include 2 children and their parents. The sacrifices made by Britain's service personnel, past and present, are being remembered around the country on the 6th Annual Armed Forces Day. The main events are taking place at Stirling in central Scotland, where there'll be a special parade, and our defence correspondent Caroline Wyatt is there.
The parade from Stirling Castle will involve over 1,000 marchers from all 3 services, as well as veterans and cadets. The castle itself was fiercely fought over many times between the English and the Scots in the late Middle Ages, and today the political battle for Scotland also looms over this event. The Prime Minister David Cameron and Scotland's First Minister Alex Salmond will join other ministers and Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal to take the salute and watch a tornado fly past and the Royal Navy historic flight. All this is an unspoken reminder that the future of defence in Scotland is also at stake when Scotland votes in September.
The American soul singer and songwriter Bobby Womack, whose hits include Looking for a Love, has died. He was 70. In a career spanning more than 50 years, he wrote songs and played guitar for artists such as Aretha Franklin and Wilson Pickett. The weather cloudy with some heavy thundery showers today and an afternoon high of 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. Dry tonight and mild with lows of 9 Celsius, 48 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Thank you to Molly, thank you to Nicole, and thank you in advance to you. I'm saying thank you because I'm going to need a lot of your phone calls this morning. Lots to talk about. Here's a question I didn't think I'd ask on a BBC radio station. Ever drunk your own wee-wee? No, I know, apparently it's very healthy for you. I'm not expecting to get a huge rush of calls on that. We'll be talking about that later, but if you have, do give me a call. Should we stop some operations for people once you reach a certain age? Let's say, 70, maybe. Should that be the cut-off point? The NHS is running out of money. Older people, we're all living a little bit longer. Should we stop doing operations on people once they reach a certain age? And today is Armed Forces Day. Armed Forces Day. I've got a brother who served in the military. I can't understand why anybody would want to join the armed forces. I'm not knocking the work they do. I'm not dismissing them as people or discounting them as... Can someone phone up and explain to me, why would you join the armed forces? It's Armed Forces Day today, and it's kind of got me thinking, well, why would anybody do that? If you want to get in touch, you know how to do it, but I'll give you the details. You can email me, Iain.Lee, I-A-I-N, I spell it properly, .lee@bbc.co.uk. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text WM, or the best way, and you know this is how it works, is to give me a phone call, please. So pick up your phones, 08, that's the old number, 03 453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Here's something. We changed that number, what, like 4 months ago? How can I get rid of that old number from my head? It's funny, I can't remember anybody's phone numbers now. No idea what my phone number is. If I sat down and thought about it, I could do it. Don't know what my wife's phone number is, but yet the old WM phone number, I remember. And while we're having a little bit of a whinge, can I tell you something that really annoys me? That happened today. It happens all the time, but I saw it today and it really kind of wound me up. If anyone can explain this. You know when you go to a petrol station, right, to fill up your car with, I don't know, like petrol and stuff? You know the pumps, the hoses that the pumps are on, they can reach round to the other side of the car. You know that, don't you? You didn't know that. Oh, well, then you're a plum. I was at a petrol station today, and everybody was all over the place, not realising that they can park at any petrol pump and just pull the nozzle round. It'll reach round. So I was in traffic for ages, and then a pump got free, and I pulled up and very smugly got out. You could see all the drivers going, he's in for a surprise. His petrol tank's on the other side. And I just very casually pulled the pump round. It's things like that. It's not particularly earth-shattering. It's not life-changing. Really get my goat. That's the phrase, isn't it? That's the BBC acceptable phrase. They really get my goat. We could. I tell you what, this morning, can we? Just a complete tangent. I'm just going to throw this out there. Small irritations that drive you nuts. For me, it's when people don't realise that the petrol pump will reach round to the other side of their car. I was fuming. I don't know. Listen, first world problems. Hey, luckily I'm not in Iraq or something, huh? Lucky I'm not in communist China. But it was just really doing my nutting. Could you give me a call, please? 03453 009956, or send me a text, 81333. Start your text WM. Those small irritations that just get on your stupid little things that other people do that get right on your nerves. Walking towards me in the street while you're texting. Don't do it! I had a friend of mine once. No, it wasn't a friend. It was a caller to another radio show who made a point of just standing still in the street when he saw texters coming towards him, so they bumped into... Why should it be my responsibility to move out of the way of someone who's sending a text? I saw a woman reading a book the other day while she was walking. You can't do that. Honestly, she was in London, of course, and she was walking down, I think it was Oxford Street, and she's reading a book. She's not only reading a book, 2 in 1. Sorry, we'll start the show properly in a second. She's not only reading a book while she's walking and not looking, she's reading a Harry Potter book. Yeah, she was in her 40s. I hate to break it to you guys, Harry Potter's for children. Yeah. It would be like me walking down the street reading Shark in the Dark, or One Ted Fell Out of Bed, or The Gruffalo's Child. They're kids' books. Oh no, I've got the Harry Potter books with adult covers, so they're actually great fantasy novels for all ages. No, they're not, mate. They're kids' books. Sorry, we weren't going to talk about this at all. We've got far more serious things to talk about, including Armed Forces Day, which I will get onto in a bit, and drinking your own wee-wee. But let's just throw this out there. Random irritations, please. 03453 009956. For me, it's people not realising you can fill up your car by stretching the petrol nozzle round to the other side. People walking down the street whilst texting, and adults who read the Harry Potter books. 03453 009956. John's in Redditch. Morning, John.
Good morning.
What irritates you, sir?
Well, I agree wholeheartedly about the petrol pump issue, yes. But my minor irritation is people, especially on WM, and I only say WM because it's the only station that I ever listen to.
Right, yes.
Guests and the presenters, they'll give a phone number out, and they'll say 03453 009956. Why they suddenly stop saying O, then start saying zeros, is just beyond me. And it's quite infectious because I even hear now elderly people saying this. They'd never used the word zero But now
Well, this is...
they mix the O's and the Z. Why? It's either one or the other.
John, you raise an interesting point. Can you name any of the presenters on WM who do that? Let's name and shame those guys.
No, well, I've heard Ed Doolan say that's just one.
Doolan.
I've actually heard Ed use the 0 and the O word together. It's either one or the other.
Doolan.
And I was actually... and I find it a little bit irritating when I'm writing a number down, if I phone up a company for whatever reason, and someone say, well, what you need to do is phone this number, 08453 00, and it can actually throw me, would you believe it?
Yeah.
As I'm
well, correct. I have been, in another life, on another radio station, John, I was picked up for giving out the phone number as O. Someone actually phoned up and said, I think you'll find it's not an O, it's a 0. So should we all be saying zeros?
The letter of the book, yes, it is a 0, but O's the acceptable word. I mean, Malcolm Boyden wouldn't even use the word O, he used to say naught.
Oh, for goodness sakes. John, thank you for kicking that one off. It's much appreciated. Seriously, someone phoned up a radio station I worked out and said, no, it's not O. You're giving the phone number out incorrectly. And I looked at it and said, well, am I? Yes, you'll find it's a 0. All right, mate, calm down. Doolan, I'm coming for you. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Random irritations. We can kind of drop this, pick this up as we go through the show. This isn't going to be the main thrust of the show. I'm almost embarrassed for opening the show with it, but it was just getting on my wick. Carol's in Oldbury. Morning, Carol.
Good morning.
Carol, what would you like to say?
You constantly want to have a go at me. You need to get a life. I am 67 years old. I love to watch Harry Potter. It's the only books I will read, and yet you will have a go at us left, right, and pig in centre. You get a life, mate.
Carol? Has she put the phone down? She's gone. OK. Yes, I was laughing. Was that my mum? I think that may have been my mum. I'm not having a go left, right and pig in centre. Listen, Carol, you're 67. If you want to read children's books, then may I recommend Shark in the Dark? Oh, it's great. It's about a shark, or The Snail and the Whale. Go and read that. That's a cracking book, The Snail and the Whale. But admit that you're reading children's books. You're reading children's books. And as long as you accept you're reading children's books, that's fine. Harry Potter is a book... How have we got onto this? I've already 13 minutes into the show. I've lost control of what's going on. Mary, I'm getting a message from producer Joe. Put your phone down so we can call you back. Harry Potter are children's books. That's a fact. They are written for kids. If you want to enjoy them as an adult, then... there are better children's books. There's adult literature out there you could read. Go and read some Vonnegut. Go and read some Orwell. Go and read some Joan Nesbo if you want. But kids' books. Random irritations this morning. It wasn't what the show was going to be. Just as I was filling it with petrol this morning, I was furious. Furious is too strong a word. I was irritated. I was irritated that there were so many drivers who didn't know that they could use any petrol pump they wanted, either side, and fill it with petrol because the pump stretches round. And I just want to get out and say to people, guys, look, these things stretch now. It's not 1976 anymore. 03453 009956. It's 9:15. You're listening to BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Thanks, Ian. Good morning. As you head to Fairfield along the A491, that's traffic to and from the M5, the Lydiate Ash turn. It's rather slow going in both directions between Stourbridge Road and Money Lane for some reason. Not quite sure of the reason. Not too bad on the M5 itself, the M42. That's all moving nicely now. Expect disruption in Oldbury Town Centre. Frith Street is now closed until 6 o'clock this evening because of the Armed Forces Day event going on. Other road restrictions will be in place temporarily from about 11 and 12 this morning and indeed at lunchtime because of the parade taking place. In the centre of Birmingham's disruption because of the Armed Forces Day event in the city centre with restrictions coming in from 11 o'clock this morning. Broad Street's going to be closed from Sheepcote Street to Paradise Circus, among others. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
A Copa do Mundo no Brasil.
Here we go to the knockout stages of the World Cup.
The World Cup. Today at 5, Brazil versus Chile. Then at 9, Colombia against Uruguay.
Brasil 2014.
It is incredible. World Cup drama here in Brazil.
Brazil 2014 across the BBC.
Hello, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. The World Cup's still going, is it? I thought it had finished. We'll be talking about Suarez later on and how perhaps instead of punishing him, we should be celebrating him as the greatest footballer that ever lived. We'll discuss that in a bit. Keith on Twitter says, Iain, just you voice irritates me. Well, Keith, bad grammar and incorrect spelling irritate me. So thanks very much indeed. Random irritations this morning, please, if you wouldn't mind. We've had people who swap between noughts, zeros and O's when they're giving out phone numbers. And to that lady who called in, Harry Potter books are for children. Sorry. 03453 009956 is the telephone number, should you wish to give us a call. Scott's on the line. Morning, Scott.
Morning, mate. You're right.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. What would you like to say?
I'm ex-army myself, and I used to be in TA as well.
Oh, go on. Well, it's Armed Forces Day today, and there are events going on all over the country, and especially in Birmingham. And I want to ask this morning, Scott, why did you join up? What made you join up?
To be honest, I joined up because I couldn't get a job anywhere, so that's part of the reason why I joined up. But then once I got into it, I met a lot of good friends. I met along the way, went to loads of different countries and that, and I really enjoyed the time in there, to be honest.
How old were you when you joined?
Oh, God, you're asking a question now. I'll say about 21, I think I was.
Oh, okay. So that's quite an age. And you say you saw loads of different countries. Where did you go?
Well, I went to Kenya in Africa.
Yeah.
I was there for a while. Then I did Cyprus in the UN. I'm trying to remember where else we went now, to be honest. There's quite a few places we went to. I mean, my brother's still in the army now.
Scott, you know there's a chance, don't you, when you join the army, there's a chance you're going to kill someone. Did that cross you? That must have crossed your mind.
No, it didn't really, to be honest.
Did it not?
No. It's part of the parcel end of it, isn't it?
But did you think, when you're 21 and you're there, you go to the recruitment office and you're signing up, did it never cross your mind thinking, I don't know if I could shoot someone?
No, it didn't. I was just proud to, serve for my country, that's all.
There we go. OK, this is interesting. You were proud to serve your country and possibly die for your country.
Yeah.
I'm going to get so much abuse for this. OK. I don't think I could put my life on the line for my country. I don't think I could do that. I could risk my life for my boys, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. But for my country, I don't think I could do that. What made you think that you could possibly die for your country?
I don't know. I think it's more of like, I was just proud to be, born in this country and be English and that. And, end of the day, I mean, I didn't have kids at the time. And I thought about the future, our children and that's the future.
One final question, Scott, and I really appreciate your time on this. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot this week. You say you didn't have children. Would you have signed up if you had kids?
Yes, I would have done, actually.
Let me ask this as a question. Is it selfish for parents to sign up and join the army? If someone's got kids and they put themselves in a position where they might die and their kids will become orphans, is that not a little bit selfish on the children?
Well, no, not really. I mean, my brother's in the army, and he's got one child. And to be honest, she knows about his job, what he does, and that, and he sees her when she can. But no, I don't think it's selfish. At the end of the day, everybody's got a choice what they want to do in life.
All right, Scott, listen, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much. 03453 009956. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Why would anyone join the armed forces? It's not a judgment. It's not a criticism, it's just a question, and I hope you hear it as a question. I know sometimes you hear things as statements. This is definitely a question. Why would anyone join the armed forces? OK, the sacrifices made by Britain's service personnel are being honoured on the 6th Annual Armed Forces Day today. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't join the military. I couldn't I wouldn't want to risk my life for my country, like Scott just said he could. So why would anyone do it? And the families. I'm guessing there must be a sense of pride amongst the families, but it must be of little comfort if they don't return from active duty. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. Al Sutton from Solihull was a former major in the Fusiliers and now runs Troop Aid, raising money to supply essentials to injured soldiers. Morning, Al. You're in Stirling today for the main events, aren't you? What's happening where you are today?
Well, where I am at the moment, it's a beautiful sunny morning, and everybody's setting up. We've got helicopters flying around the place. Tanks moving into position. It's a marvellous day, and the public are here already.
What exactly is Armed Forces Day? What's it for?
What is it for? It is to show the public exactly what we are up to, and to give something back to the public, for let them come and enjoy themselves. See the music rides, the mock battles, all the equipment we use.
Why did you join the Armed Forces, Al?
I joined the Armed Forces, first of all, for a career, and secondly, to positively support my country.
And why was that important to you? I struggled to get my head a little bit around the joining an organisation where I could die on behalf of my country. Explain that to me.
You can die. When you walk out on patrol with a rifle in your hand, you don't go out with the intention to kill somebody. You are patrolling to keep the peace and possibly have to fight. If somebody shoots at you, you shoot back.
And did it, when you signed up, Al, did it cross your mind, hey, I might have to kill someone? And how did you deal with that?
Well, yes, it does cross your mind, but you are trained. You're trained to accept that responsibility.
Can I ask you a question? And if it's inappropriate, then tell me to get lost, and I don't mean any offence by it, OK?
Yep.
Did you kill anyone?
No.
OK, all right. Stay there, Al. We're joined by Sybil Ruth from Kings Heath. Sybil was raised as a Quaker, and you're a pacifist. Sybil, what do you think of things like Armed Forces Day?
I'm rather puzzled. I mean, it's quite a new thing. It's the 6th time it's been done, and I suppose why did the armed forces decide that they wanted to have this day? And I suspect it was because they felt they were losing popularity after a war in Iraq that most people in this country, or a very significant amount of people in this country, thought we should never be involved in the first place. So I think in a way it's trying to put a very benevolent face on what the army does by sort of saying, oh, well, it's sort of war's a kind of super game and let's come and admire the lovely tanks. And obviously it's not looking at what really goes on in a battlefield in conflict. Perhaps the army should be organising sort of visits to the QE hospital so they could see disabled war veterans, and that would also teach people a lot about what life in the armed services involves.
You mentioned the Iraq War and Afghanistan and whether they were appropriate and just wars or not. That's not the army's decision, is it? They are there to do as they are told by politicians.
Yes. And I think that's one of the things that I would question about why people join the army. It is often when people are young. It is often because they can't get the sort of jobs that they would ideally like to get. But you're signing away choice and responsibility, and I'm not saying that officers in the army aren't doing the utmost to take care of the men and women who they have to look after, but ultimately you're letting politicians decide what happens to your life. And I think at the moment we're feeling increasingly that politicians are looking after their own interests rather than the interests of people in the country in general.
Al, doesn't Sybil make a good point that that things like armed forces... I got boys 4 and 2, they love soldiers, they love tanks, they love aeroplanes, but it gives kind of a false message as to what war actually is, doesn't it?
No, I don't think so. War is, in some cases, is a necessity. What did we do during the Second World War? when we were threatened with the Nazi Germany taking over our country. You had to go to war. And that lady who's just been on saying that we're out glorifying ourselves is completely wrong. This is one day in the year where the people can come and meet the military.
Sybil?
Well, there are interesting points. I mean, I'm not sure whether the gentleman who's just spoken is aware that my mother was actually born in Germany from a Jewish family. And so, yes, I mean, I think, although I'm a pacifist, I would acknowledge that, you know, the kind of motivations for going to war can seem stronger, you know, in some kind of conflicts than others. And, you know, I don't think being a pacifist is an easy option. But I think what I would like is for to be days when we actually celebrate the work of people who make peace and try and sort of do more constructive things in society. I think there's also a real question in my mind about whether we should be spending as much money as we do and investing as much as we do in the armed services, when a lot of the time it seems to be about getting involved in conflicts which aren't solving problems, which are simply prolonging problems. And you know, I think we're asking ourselves a lot of questions about, can we afford the NHS? Can we afford libraries? You know, can we afford to invest in education as we like? And I'd say, is the army worth it? You know, rather than having a day of celebrating what the army is doing, why don't we actually ask ourselves some really tough questions about what our priorities are as a society?
We are not celebrating the armed forces. We're not celebrating anything. We are here to show the public what we do. Here we are. And as for her, she wouldn't be a pacifist if it wasn't for the armed forces of this country, who put their lives on the line so she can say and have her beliefs as she has today.
Well, I think what I would like to say is that that's not quite an accurate picture of what the Armed Forces Day is about, because I'm sitting in front of my computer at the moment and it specifically says this is a day to celebrate and honour the armed forces community. So celebration implies that everything that the army does is something that is good and positive. Now, I was sort of looking at the Armed Forces website a bit further, and it's saying what the army does is it kind of promotes peace, it promotes security, it takes action against illegal drug trafficking, and that's fine if that's what the army is really doing. But it gets involved in stuff it shouldn't get involved with, and needless lives are lost, and that is not something to celebrate. That is something to mourn. That's
what
something to be ashamed of.
Mean? That we shouldn't get involved with. What do you mean by that?
I'm saying that we should think carefully. I mean, that we will demonstrate against what our politicians are doing, and they are ignoring our voices. You know, so I think that sometimes, you know, there will be talk about the army fighting to preserve a democratic society. I'm not actually sure that what we've got is a democratic society. Often it's about using people who are young and vulnerable and can't make the lives they want to, and then taking them in a position where they've got no choice but to go and serve on a battlefield.
I think you've got it all wrong. We as military personnel, we swear allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen, the officers and generals set over us, and to the politicians who rule this country. They are the ones who make the decisions and send us where we have to go.
They don't always get it right, though, do they, Al?
The politicians, they never get much right, but we cannot rebel against them.
Let me just interrupt for a second. Let me put this to you. Many people would be hard pushed to say that World War II wasn't a just war, but it could be argued that World War II was perhaps, not saying this definite, but was perhaps the last just conflict that we've been involved in. That all the other conflicts we've been involved in, it could be argued, we didn't need to be there, and lives were lost unnecessarily.
Korea was a just war?
Wasn't just in the same way as World War II, was it?
Well, it was. A foreign country invaded South Korea.
But they didn't invade us, and we weren't under threat, were they?
We were part of the United Nations, and it was the United Nations who sent us in.
But Britain wasn't under threat.
No.
Britain wasn't under threat during the Falklands. In fact, there were supposed to be talks to sort out the Falklands before the conflict. But Margaret Thatcher could be argued was perhaps flexing her muscles. Bosnia,
the Falklands is British territory. There are British citizens down there. You cannot differentiate between the Falklands and this country. Exactly the same.
Oh no, Al, and listen, please don't take offence. I'm just putting forward these arguments that might come up later on in the show. But there were supposed to be, or there were talks going on, peace talks about the Falklands before the conflict took place, and Thatcher kind of pulled out of those, didn't she? So again, it's politicians.
Wanted those islands back by hook or by crook. They weren't pleased with the talks because we were interested in the British citizens who were down there. The Argentinians did not want that, so they decided to invade.
Sybil, what would you like to say?
I think that what I'm saying is that I'm not somebody who believes in sort of signing over all the decisions to the Queen or politicians. I think I'm come from a non-conformist Christian background, and I'm saying that you consult your own conscience before you decide how to act. So would never sign up to the army because that's taking away my own moral responsibility. I want to choose to live as peacefully and creatively as I can and make a more peaceful society. I don't think the Armed Forces Day, while it might seem great fun, is actually doing anything to promote the kind of society that you or I want to live in.
Sybil, thank you very much indeed. That's Sybil Ruth. Al, finally, what's the highlight of the day? What thing are you looking forward to most today?
Well, we have our stall up here promoting troop aid, and we're raising funds. And we're showing the people what we do for the injured servicemen and women who put their lives on the line. And that's what we're doing.
Al, what's the weather looking like up there?
It's a beautiful day. Blue sky, a few little clouds, but beautiful.
Listen, I hope you raise lots of money, Al, and I appreciate you taking this conversation in the spirit it was intended, and go and have a great day, mate.
Thank you very much indeed.
Al Sutton from Solihull, Major in the Fusiliers, and the other voice you heard there was Sybil Ruth from Kings Heath. Right. Over to you, dear listener. What do you think? You've heard kind of both sides of the argument, and it is Armed Forces Today, so let's, try and be as respectful as we can. But can you answer the question, why would anyone join the Armed Forces? 03453 009956.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Right, Dave's been waiting for ages. Dave, I do apologise. What would you like to say, sir?
Morning, Iain.
Morning, Dave.
The reason people sign up, they have a multitude of reasons. They have individual reasons why they do it. You're right about the Falklands. That was a needless war. That was just Thatcher trying to get elected again. She's a warmonger, or she was a warmonger. Iraq is down to Bush, which is again another maniac warmonger. But you see, what you got to realise, Iain, is without these brave people, the likes of you and I wouldn't be doing. Well, there's a good chance that we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we may well be living in a completely different country.
You're referring to World War II and the after effects of World War II, I assume, and it could be argued, as I mentioned there to Al, that World War II was perhaps the last just war.
Right.
That was obviously it was obviously what we were fighting for. It was obvious who we were fighting, and it was obvious, that we were intending to protect ourselves and our sovereignty. And some people could perhaps struggle. I'm trying to tread so carefully here because I don't want to offend anybody too much. Some people could perhaps struggle to justify any of the wars we've had since then.
Well, yeah, but you see, if you talk about the modern day soldiers, the girls, the lads and the girls in now, I mean, they are doing the best to stop terrorism.
How?
Mean, they don't always achieve what they want to achieve, but at least that's what they try to do. But I want to ask you one thing, Iain.
Go on.
Would you include one question in this debate that you're running? Yeah.
What is it?
Well, I would like to ask, and I would like answers. When our lads and girls go out and lose limbs and come back, crippled, why is this corrupt government unwilling to allow them to claim benefits? Now, I'd like that question.
Well, No, listen,
like that
I would
question to
need
be
I would
answered.
need some, Dave. I'd need some clarification on that. I don't think they're unable to claim benefits, are they?
Well, they have, because it's been told 12 months ago that returning soldiers who were disabled and have deformities or you know...
Yeah, they got a leg blasted off or something. Yes,
yeah,
serious
arms
injuries.
or whatever, loss of an eye or the blindness. It was made public last year that they are not. This government refused to let them claim benefits. Now, I think that is a very, very important question that ought to be asked, and answers should be demanded.
Dave, thank you for that. You have me at a slight disadvantage. I'm aware of some stories of do we still call them veterans? Probably not. But military personnel coming back that are injured and perhaps not getting the compensation they were after. I think they get benefits. I need somebody who knows more about this than me. Very rarely do I put that call out. So, grab it while you can. If you get injured in a war and you're in the army and you come back, you can get benefits, can't you? Compensation's a different thing. That's an argument for another day, whether injured soldiers should get compensation. But they get benefits, don't they? 03453 009956. Winnie's in Selly. Morning, Willie.
Good morning, my love.
Oh, I think I called you Willie. There's a Freudian slip.
That's
Winnie.
Nice. I don't mind what anybody calls me. Normally, I've got an answer for them.
Willie, first thing on a Saturday morning. Who'd have thought it? What have you got for us, Winnie?
Well, actually, my husband, I can speak about it, but it does upset me because he's in an old people's home at the moment, dangerously ill. But I can talk because he's not here. He'd have turned the wireless off, actually, if he'd have heard what was going on.
What would have upset him?
My husband was the first regiment to go through the Belsen camp. And when he came out of the forces, he was so upset. And he can never, ever talk about it. And I'm sorry what he says. He says there is not a good German unless they're 6 foot under. And funnily enough, I was visiting somebody at an old people's home, and that was the only time that he come out of his shell and was talking, and I learnt such a lot. And this fella was in the regiment that went to Belsen camp to take it over, and my husband had to go with his regiment to clean it out. And over 12 months ago, somebody, I can't say who, he'd done a degree, and he was in the force. He wanted to go in the forces, like as a vicar or whatever they call them. Anyway, he wanted a map of the Belsen camp, and my husband had got his own regiment on, and we found out then that map was worth a lot of money because there's not many of them about. And he went and they put a video on the thing on the telly. I'm not clever with televisions and so forth. And the first thing that come up was a lorry that was throwing dead bodies on. And I swear, Lord help me, that started his Alzheimer's up. And he won't talk about it. And if people talk and brag about the forces, he goes white. He goes absolutely white.
So, Winnie, which part of the conversation, and I really appreciate you telling us this morning, which part of the conversation would have upset him? Would it have been that the pacifist we heard speaking...
What he had to go through.
Right.
What he's seen. He's seen. And he won't talk about it at all. And
he's never spoken. He's never spoken to you about it.
No. Because he's so upset with what he had to go through. When he came out of the forces, he was terrible. That he had no help to get him over it and nothing. But he's 88 now. But as I say, and funnily enough, I've got to say it, he's in a lovely home, and it's a Jew's home. And it's absolutely lovely. But he realises where he is. But, of course, he's for the Jews. But I didn't ask for him. I wanted him to go in that home because I'd had somebody else in the home before. But no, I said to them, for God's sake, don't mention anything at all about the forces.
Don't mention the war! Winnie, listen, I appreciate your call this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
03453 009956 is the phone number. Well, when you hear a story like that, Belson, one of the most horrific concentration camps in World War II, you know, tens of thousands of people died there, pretty horrific place, and it's obviously Imagine having had something happen to you that's so bad that you couldn't tell your wife about it. You could never speak to your wife about it. Thank you for that, Winnie. We're asking today, why do people join the armed forces? It's Armed Forces Day. Why do people join? I don't get it. I've got a brother who was in the armed forces. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm keen to hear your stories. And a kind of a slight little side tangent on this. Are people who join the armed forces, and it's a question, not a statement, are people who join the armed forces or any job that puts their life at risk, and if they've got kids, is that a little bit selfish? 03453 009956. We're also going, and boy, doesn't it seem flippant going from Winnie's story there to... we'll go there in a second. Let me go to Andy in Hales Owen. Morning, Andy.
Morning.
You've called in about soldiers' benefits we were just speaking about. I've been sent a link that I can't open for a story about this. Maybe you know more than I do. Go on.
Well, I agree with what that gentleman said earlier on, Dave.
Yep.
This government is correct. It's corrupt, Ian, for the simple reason is you got young lads, 18, 19, coming back with horrific injuries, right? And this government's making them redundant, sacking them with a bit of compensation. Now, I know for a fact, in the paper, in the Sun, it showed you this soldier who was badly injured. Now, Ian, I can't remember now whether it was 2 legs or 1 leg and an arm he'd had off. He got artificial aids. Now, that put him in a flat where he hadn't, everything was all provided for him, nice and easy. And because he could walk unaided, this is fact, this is true, check up, unaided, that they stopped his benefits. That he got nothing whatsoever. And plus the fact, if you can walk more than 20 metres unaided or without stopping, your benefits stopped. When the Labour was in, as far as I know, I can't remember whether it was 50 metres or 60 metres you could walk. If you could walk that far, your benefits were stopped unaided. And when this government got in, they dropped it straight away for either 50 or 60 metres down to 20 metres. And I know for a fact, on Radio WM, I know it was last year now, I can't remember, my memory's fading a little bit, they'd got a solicitor on the television and they was taking this government to court regarding how they suddenly dropped the walking distance from 60 metres down to 20 metres. Since then, I haven't heard anything. But as far as I know it's a fact that if they can walk unaided without a stick, they stop the benefit. They get nothing at all.
But that's the same. That's the same for everyone, isn't it? These are the changes to disability benefits. I mean, there are other elements to the test. Sorry?
Serve the country. All I'm trying to say is they've done the job. Thank you very much. We don't need you no more.
Can I ask you?
No, you have to. Surely, you've got a little bit of sentimental in your heart. Surely, what I'm trying to say to you, it is fact. This is what this government's done.
Okay. Can I ask you one question?
Of course you can.
Andy, do you think, and I'm not putting forward my point of view on this either way, because I don't know what my point of view is, do you think soldiers who are injured in the line of duty, in their job, in a job that they sign up for knowing they could die or be injured, should they get compensation? Not benefits, compensation.
Of course they should. I mean, look, it's common sense what this government's trying to do. They're making the regular soldier redundant and then sacking them. They're bringing the territorial army personnel to do their jobs at a lower wage. Everybody knows what they're trying to do. Of course you should receive compensation. I mean, as regards joining up, as you said to a gentleman earlier on, you signed up to kill people. Well, I don't think that's the right attitude to take, is it? You join up because you want to join up in the possibility there could be an outbreak of war anywhere in the country. And if your services are needed, that's what you're going to do.
Andy, thank you very much indeed. Sorry to cut you short. We've got to move on because, look at the time. It's 9:45. Andy, good point. If you want to have your say on that, 03453 009956. It's BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz Saul.
Thank you very much, Ian. At Fairfield, the A491 is looking better to and from the M5 Lydiate-Ash turn along Sandy Lane both ways. Has been looking rather slow this morning, but not too bad currently. It seems to have eased off for the moment. Expect disruption in Albury. Free Street is now closed until 6 o'clock this evening as Armed Forces Day events taking place across Birmingham and the Black Country. And in Albury Town Centre, between 11 and 12, there's various other road closures while the parade is going on. Similar story in the centre of Birmingham, where Broad Street is going to be closed from Sheepcote Street to Paradise Circus from 11 o'clock. And between 12 and 1:30 is a number of buses being diverted. There's a parade going on, so a lot of extra traffic expected in the city centre. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
People think if you've got a Brummie accent or a Black Country accent, they automatically think you're thick.
You still have this great passion for your roots.
I'm going to use that in my speech tonight.
Pete Morgan at breakfast.
Monday to Friday, 6 till 9.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Lots to talk about. Coming up in a little bit, we'll probably do this after 10. Two things that I know you'll be interested in. Should people over the age of, let's say, 70 not get as much treatment on the NHS? I'll explain why in a little bit. And have you ever drunk your own wee-wee? I know. We're going to speak to a woman later on who she does. She drinks her own and she thinks it's very healthy. I'd love to know if you have. It's a weird question. I'm not expecting the phones to light up on this, but there must be someone out there who's been in a situation where it was necessary. 03453 009956. We're also talking about Armed Forces Day. Why do people join the Armed Forces? We are getting national pride. What was interesting, Scott, the first caller, his first response was, it was a job. It was a job. There must, if you're doing it just because it's a job and you can't get a job elsewhere, well, there must be other jobs that you could get that are safer, maybe? I don't know. Why would anyone join the armed forces? And when you hear people, I don't want to say dismiss, I don't want to say dis, because I'm 41 years old. When you hear people who are perhaps slightly more negative about the army and the military and war, how does that make you feel? Do you support them or do you get really angry? Do you think that we should support all of our servicemen and women, whatever the cause? 03453 009956. Gary, Jim, stay there. I'm going to come to you in a second. I just want to squeeze Lawrence in first. Morning, Lawrence.
Good morning. You're right, Ian.
Well, yeah, I'm good, thank you, Lawrence. What would you like to say?
Basically, I've got a friend who's in the armed forces. The pub that I drink in, there was 3 lads who actually joined up. One of them was killed. I don't mind mentioning his name. He was blown up in probably the worst day of the history of this particular war, and that was Joseph Murphy. There was 5 particular people killed in that explosion. It was an IED. Another friend lost a leg, and had an arm severely disabled.
What conflict are we talking about, Lawrence?
This is the current one in Afghanistan.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
He obviously came back. He's since been receiving care at the QE, which is the hospital that specialises in injuries for the armed forces. Mm-hmm. Yes, they do get a compensation. It's a one-off payment, I believe. Obviously, how much is personal matter. What annoys me is he's been fitted with an artificial limb, and he was actually in line to have one of these bionic limbs fitted to obviously improve his lifestyle. Now, he's recently been demobbed due to his disabilities. I say demobbed for want of a better word, and he's been to the QE to have this artificial limb measured up and fitted, and basically he's been told that because he's no longer a member of the armed forces, he's no longer eligible for it.
Oh.
And it's not covered by the NHS, unfortunately, because it's too expensive. Now, that really annoys me.
So it's an injury that he sustained in conflict.
Yeah.
And now he's not in the armed forces anymore. He's got to pay for it if he wants it.
Basically, yeah.
Well, that seems completely inappropriate. Of course, the military should pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. With regards to getting jobs and things like that, then yes, the previous gentleman that was talking is quite right, that if he can walk more than a certain distance with aids or whatever, then they're not eligible for, for
Why did they... So listen, so you've lost a friend, Lawrence. You've got a friend who's severely injured in battle. Do they regret... Do they regret... Does the fellow who's injured, does he regret signing up? Why did he sign up?
Basically, it was something he always wanted to do. I think he always wanted to go into the army. It wasn't because he couldn't get employment. His brother, in actual fact, joined as well. Fortunately, his brother's come out of it unscathed. But no, he basically went for king and country. The question is,
was it worth it? Was that price worth it?
Well, at the end of the day, these guys don't decide what conflicts they're going to go into, do they?
No.
That's decided for them, and usually for political reasons or whatever. But people say, well, should we have gone into Afghanistan? I mean, every war that's happened in recent years, you made a comment about, was the Second World War the last justified war? Good question. In my opinion, most of these recent wars are basically involving things like oil. You look at what's going on in South Africa with Mugabe. Why aren't we in there? Nothing at all has happened about that. Nobody cares because South Africa's got nothing that we need.
Final question on this, Lawrence. Go back to your friend who's sorry. What limbs had he lost? What was
his lower right leg and his left arm. He could very well have lost both legs, but with the remains of his right leg, they managed to patch his left leg up.
Isn't that incredible?
As crazy as it sounds. I mean,
the Queen Elizabeth Hospital it does do amazing things, and there are geniuses and
I think most of it was
artists working there.
done in Afghanistan.
Do they do that in Afghanistan?
Yeah, yeah. And
so he's gone over there. He's gone to fight for Queen and country, right?
Yeah.
And he's lost a couple of limbs, and he's come back, and now the country won't pay to have those limbs replaced with bionic limbs. Is he resentful now?
He's got an artificial leg, but it's a pretty basic one, I think.
Right. Okay.
In the reality of things, what he was obviously looking forward to was receiving this artificial one. He's a young lad. He's a fit lad, and he was looking forward to going out running and things like that. Obviously, he can't do that with the limb he's got. But
is he resentful at all towards the country now?
I don't think he's too happy about the government. Put it that way.
That's putting it mildly. Lawrence, listen, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much indeed. We're trying to get to the bottom of the question today. Why would anyone join the armed forces? It's Armed Forces Day today. Lots of celebrations happening throughout Birmingham and the West Midlands. Maybe you're taking part in some of them. Or maybe you're sat at home scratching your head thinking, well, why would anybody want to do that? I've got two boys, 4 and 2. I'd be really upset if they came home and said, Dad, I want to join the army. Obviously, in 12 years' time, 15 years' time. I'd be really upset. I'd be really disappointed. My dad served in the army. My half-brother served in the army. But if my boys came back and said, Dad, signing up, I'd be devastated. I'd be devastated. 03453 009956. It seems flippant going from talking about the armed forces and Lawrence's story there to this, but we're doing minor irritations as well this morning. For me, it's when you go into a petrol station and people don't realise that the petrol pumps, they stretch all the way round. Dave's emailed in. Iain, I don't understand why the petrol pump thing irritates you. I think it's wonderful that drivers are stupid. It means I can drive straight to any available pump whilst they all queue up for the left-hand ones. Just think, now that you've given out the secret, we in the know are going to have to queue. And a bit of little-known information about petrol pumps. If you're driving a new car and If you're driving a new car and you're unsure which side of the car your filler cap is, have a look at the fuel gauge on the dashboard. There's a little picture of the pump that will have the pump handle to the side which has your filler. What? Is that true? If you're in a new car, what's new? Last 4 years? If you're in a 4-year and under car, can you have a look? Is that right? So the picture of the petrol pump will have the pump handle to the side which has your filler. Gosh, aren't cars getting clever these days? Remember when cars were supposed to talk to us? Not just Knight Rider. What was it? Was it the Montego or the Maestro that was supposed to talk to us? Gary's in Solihull. Morning, Gary.
Morning, Iain.
You've been waiting for ages. I apologise. I hope you understand why. Do you remember, was it the Montego or the Maestro that was supposed to talk to us?
I didn't have one of them cars.
No, a bit too fancy for me. I thought we would have talking cars that would drive themselves now.
Well, apparently in the States, one of them wannabe mobile home things, apparently they do that, and someone got in it and it crashed, and he tried to defend himself by saying that the car could drive itself.
That old chestnut. There's talk of it. I know there's somewhere in England, Milton Keynes is going to have driverless pods soon, where you kind of get in them and they drive you to the shops.
Well, Google have introduced them, haven't they?
Yeah. Anyway, what have you called in for, Gary?
Well, you're talking about garages. What gets on my goat is when you've gone in and put your fuel in, then you go into the petrol station and there's a massive queue, and someone at the front of the queue haven't brought any petrol. They've gone the weekly shop. They want the lottery tickets checked. They want to buy fags. And there's only one person on the till. You know, you've gone there to buy your fuel. Someone's done the weekly shopping there, and that's
I don't mind that. I do mind it if they've parked at a petrol pump and they're doing that.
Well, they probably have, you know, or they might not even be in a car. But that's to buy your fuel. And then, after that, they decide they want a latte, they want a chicken and bacon thing.
You're describing me. I bought a chicken and bacon thing and a latte yesterday at the petrol station and no petrol. You're describing me, Gary. Gary, thank you very much indeed. 0345. Seriously, I had a chicken and bacon sandwich. I'm new to meat. I've been a vegetarian for 25 years. I'm eating meat again. Oh, it's good. Why didn't you tell me meat was so good? Fantastic. Let's squeeze in Jim. Jim, what would you like to say?
Hi. First of all, the Owen 0 one, that I've been waiting for somebody for years to acknowledge that one, because that is a dreadful thing that everybody gets wrong. Everybody says O instead of 0.
Do you say 0 when you give out a phone number,
Absolutely. And when I give, more importantly, vehicle registration numbers and things like that, and serial numbers and passwords that you have to get into, use software, and it's dreadful. O and 0 are dreadful. But the one that really gets me, which my children use all the time, is they use the word of instead of the word have. I would have gone if I had got the money and things like that. And it comes from, because the abbreviation of would have is would have, VE. So they think the VE is of an of. They say would of.
How old are your kids, Jim?
17 and 16.
Oh.
And it's not just them. People on Facebook that are typing something, 9 times out of 10 put of instead of have. And
Jim, listen, I've got to move on because we've got news. Thank you so much for waiting, because that was a cracker. He's right. That gets on my nerves as well. Oh, we'll carry on with this. Random irritations. 03453 03453 009956. How's that, Jim? Does that make you feel better? Good.
We've full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online. bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's 10 o'clock. Let's get the latest news now with Nicole Pullman.
The United States has started to fly armed drones over Baghdad. It says it wanted to protect American military advisors who are in the city, helping Iraqi forces counter the Sunni uprising in the north and west of the country. The BBC's Beth McLeod is in Washington.
The US has been flying around 35 surveillance missions over Iraq each day for more than a week. They have now armed some of the drones that are over Baghdad to provide protection for the 180 American military advisors who are operating on the ground. US media report that they are Predator drones equipped with Hellfire missiles. They are not, the Pentagon press secretary was quick to stress, intended to be used against the ISIS militants that have overrun large parts of Iraq in recent weeks.
A man starting a 6-year sentence after he was caught walking down a Birmingham street with a sawn-off shotgun in a plastic bin bag. 45-year-old Gary Rose was also carrying a large kitchen knife when he was spotted by police in Cotswold Close in Franklin. Rose from Devon Road in Franklin, who's a convicted robber, tried to hide but was caught after the area was cordoned off. The gun wasn't loaded and he claimed he'd only just been handed the weapon by 2 unnamed people. 8 people have been taken to hospital after a crash involving 2 cars in Walsall. It happened in Darlaston Road last night. The injured include 2 children and their parents. The sacrifices made by Britain's service personnel, past and present, are being remembered around the country on the 6th Annual Armed Forces Day. The main events are taking place at Stirling in central Scotland, where there's a special parade. Our defence correspondent Caroline Wyatt is there.
The parade from Stirling Castle will involve over 1,000 marchers from all 3 services, as well as veterans and cadets. The castle itself was fiercely fought over many times between the English and the Scots in the late Middle Ages, and today the political battle for Scotland also looms over this event. The Prime Minister David Cameron and Scotland's First Minister Alex Salmond will join other ministers and Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal to take the salute and watch a tornado fly past and the Royal Navy historic flight. All this is an unspoken reminder that the future of defence in Scotland is also at stake when Scotland votes in September.
The American soul singer and songwriter Bobby Womack, whose hits include Looking for a Love, has died. He was 70. In a career spanning more than 50 years, he wrote songs and played guitar for artists such as Aretha Franklin and Wilson Pickett. The weather cloudy with some heavy thundery showers today. The top temperature 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. Dry tonight and mild, though, with overnight lows of 9 Celsius, 48 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, mainly fine and dry with some sunshine and the possibility of just a few showers. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The Voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. Lots to talk about. Little recap. So far, we've been asking for your random irritations. Maybe it's people who go to the petrol station just to stock up on their weekly shop and they cause a backlog. For me, it's people who text as they're walking down the street, or people who think that Harry Potter books are suitable reading for adults. They're not. They're children's books. We're also on Armed Forces Day asking, why would anyone join the Armed Forces? It's one of those things that leaves me, and I know it leaves a number of you, scratching your heads. Why would anybody do it? And kind of on a side note, if you've got kids and you join the Armed Forces or any other job where your life is at risk, is that a little bit selfish of you? Coming up in this hour, we'll be asking, should there be a cut-off point for operations on elderly people? Should there be an age 70, 75, 80 where we stop performing operations on old people? And, of course, the big question of the day, have you ever drunk your own wee-wee? 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
OK, some clarification. David emailed in and he said on new cars there is a picture of a petrol can, and whichever side the can is facing, whichever side the handle is on, that's the side your petrol cap is on. David's got back saying, when I said new car, I meant new to the driver. The little picture thing has been the case for many years. And Colin has emailed in. The fuel flap indicator. The fuel flap indicator is not a new thing on cars. They've been on them for years. My 1999 Golf GTI had the icon on the fuel gauge. It's one of those little things people do not notice. Well, there you go. 03453 009956. Hey, we can do that. Little things that only you've noticed. My favourite little thing that only I have noticed, myself and members of the deaf and blind community. Yeah. I'm in with those guys, right? You know, and I may have mentioned this on WM before, you know Pelican Crossings, where you've got the yellow box and you have to press the button, or rather, if you have children, they have to fight over who presses the button. Underneath it, there's a little black cone with ridges on. Oh, what's the little black cone? That's for deaf and blind people. When the man has turned to green and the sound is beeping, something they would not be able to see or hear, the little black cone starts spinning. No, Producer Joe, not everyone knows about that. I bet none of my listeners know about that. Producer Joe's giving me jip. Not everybody knows about that. It starts spinning, and that means it's safe to cross. 03453 009956. Joe, have we had any calls from anybody who's drunk their own wee-wee yet? No. There's got to be someone out there, right, who's been in a situation, maybe they were in the armed forces, or maybe they were stuck in the desert. I'm stretching it a little bit. Somebody must have done, or as a prank. As a prank, for goodness. We're going to speak to a woman a bit later on in the show who does, and she says it's very, very good for you. Oof, I'm not convinced. Let's go to Malcolm in Bourneville. Good morning, Malcolm.
Hello, Ian.
What would you like to say, sir? Yeah, I'm all right today. I'm all right.
Well, I just rung in, actually, because it's Armed Forces Day. I just wanted to remind or say something that... because Iain Cameron, I was going to say David Cameron, and he's brought out a discount card for the Armed Forces a couple of 3 years ago.
All right.
Mostly for the defence. It's a defence discount card for anybody that served and anybody that's still serving and has served in the defence of the country. Then you get this discount card, which... What I'm trying to say is most of the main people of the superstores and the stores and all this don't seem to know about it, and it's been going out, and the Cameron says how good this card is, but they don't seem to be pushing it to the main business people.
Well, hang on, I've not heard of this discount card. So where is it supposed to work?
That's what I mean. It's for anybody that has served in the defence of the country and still does, that can apply for this card to a guy in Loughborough for £5 for 5 years. You get the card, and it's supposed to be for all the people. So all the main put it like this: there is one or two, but it's the main supermarkets and stores which we need it that don't seem to know about it, or they don't want to know about it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's out there now. I appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You can also text 81333. Start your text WM. George is in Armitage. Morning, George.
Good morning. I'm just talking about the armed forces.
Ever drunk your own wee-wee?
And your opinion, no. And your opinion as regards the armed forces. They've got a special regiment for people like you called the Royal Standbacks. And I'll tell you something now, that's why they invented gaiters. You know, those you used to wear around the bottom of our trousers, in case it stopped it running down your legs into your boots. I'll tell you what now, you're very disrespectful. And if it hadn't been for our poor soldiers, has died for people like you, have been doing the bloody goose deck now. That's all I've got to say, Paul.
George, don't put the phone down. Don't do a hit and run. No.
I don't want to talk to you.
Let's discuss it. Well, no, George, I'm keen to point out what you think. What have I said that's disrespectful to the armed forces?
You don't know why people join the armed forces. You wouldn't join the armed forces. Can
we deal with those two things one at a time? Can we do? No, don't put the phone down. Don't do a hit and run. Don't be a coward, George. Oh, flipping it, a hit and run, George. I'm going to give you 2 out of 10 for that. Very, very poor. So. It's always interesting, isn't it? Very, very poor call, George. One of the worst. It's always interesting when people say, people died protecting your freedoms, right? Well, then one of my freedoms is I can go on a radio station and ask questions. That's one of my freedoms, isn't it? Is I can ask questions. And I can have conversations with people, and I can try to listen to other people's opinions, and I can argue with them, I can disagree with them, I can change my opinion. Those are the freedoms that were fought for in World War II. So I think, if anything, George, I'm doing those people who died in World War II, I'm in my own tiny, irrelevant way, I'm doing them a service by enjoying and employing the freedoms that have been won for me. George, they're implying I'm a coward. Hey, guess what? When it comes to having foreigners pointing guns at me, I'm a coward. Is that so bad? When it comes to standing in the desert and there being a chance there are landmines, I'm a coward. Completely. But also, George, there is a difference, I think, between cowardism and pacifism. The questions I'm asking this morning simply are, and I'm surprised that George has got so offended by it, and I'm not a fan of the hit and run, OK? If you're going to call up, please, A, don't call up just to pass on a message to the producers. You know, it's a phone-in show. We're not the Samaritans. Phone up if you want to come on the air. And also phone up if you want to then have a conversation. I am happy to hear any point of view put forward this morning, even if it's telling me I'm rubbish and I should be shot and I should be taken off the air, whatever. Not many other presenters would stand for that. I like to hear those points of view as well. In some ways, I like to hear those points of view more than, hey, man, great show. I don't know how to deal with a compliment. Someone insulting me, I've got a reaction for it. But be prepared to then listen to my point of view. Otherwise, that's cowardice. It's what we like to call in the business. It's a hit and run, isn't it, Ranj?
No. Listen,
he did a hit and run, didn't he?
He did, yeah, but I won't, and you probably will do a hit and run.
Oh, shut up, man.
No,
Listen,
come on. You don't go to the travel. Take me on after the travel, and take me on till we finish this thing, yeah? Okay. Now, listen...
Well, hang on. You want me to... do you want... Is the travel ready? Can we go to the travel really, really early, just for Ranjit? Can we do that? I'm being told no, Ranjit, we can't...
Listen, okay. George did a hit and run on you. I agree with you, and I've got to...
Ranjit, I've got to stop you there. Let's get the latest travel. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz Saul. Thank you, Liz.
That's quite all right, Ian. As you head to Selly the A38 is looking rather heavy at the moment on our traffic sensors as you head between Chapel Lane and Priory Road. Just seems to be volume of traffic around there. I haven't had any incidents reported. It's a bit congested in the centre of Birmingham anyway. There's various restrictions because of the Armed Forces Day event going on. You'll find that part of Broad Street is shut from Sheepcote Street to Paradise Circus until about 1:30. A number of buses are going to be diverted as well. It's going to be shut from about 11, so in just under an hour's time. There's also the Championship Athletics going on at the Alexander Stadium, and they get underway from midday today. In Albury, there's also an Armed Forces Day event, so various closures around the town centre there. Frith Street is the main one. It's shut until 6 o'clock this evening. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Graham Torrington.
I was taking your calls on medical miracles.
Loved ones that are in coma, you talk to them continually. The one thing I can remember, I held a picture of our little girl up and a tear just trickled down Adam's face.
You've given a lot to Adam, haven't you?
Yeah.
Who's been there for you?
I'm going to get all emotional now, really. I've got the most amazing family and friends.
Your calls, your stories.
Late night, Graham Torrington.
Sunday to Thursday nights from 10.
BBC WM
95.6.
I'm having fun this week. 03453 009956 is the telephone number should you wish to take part. Ranjit, we have all the time in the world unless you start boring me.
I won't bore you, right?
Are you sure?
I am sure, yeah. Right,
you normally do.
In the last few weeks, everybody's been trying to put you on the ropes, yeah? And
I'm failing miserably, let's be honest.
I don't think they're failing, right?
Who's had me on the ropes?
No, you're always on the ropes, yeah? OK, listen, your job is to, bring in a debate, yeah, which will cause controversy and everything, yeah? But what you're doing, right, and I'm listening to you very intelligently, what happens is you come up with your trailer and say, well, this talk show today, it can go anywhere. It's like being in a pub. You don't say, at 9 o'clock we're going to discuss this, at 10 o'clock we're going to discuss that. That was in your trailer and you've always said it, yeah? So what happens, each time somebody starts to disagree with you, you start being sarcastic to them. That's where you're going wrong. Okay?
Who have I been sarcastic to today? An example, please.
Okay, I'll give you an example. If you was to turn around and say, well, you know, I understand why people go to join the army, but as a pacifist, I wouldn't join, then that's fine. But
Right, Ranjit, 2 points.
Yeah.
I've not said I'm a pacifist or not.
No.
You don't know I'm a pacifist or not. Secondly, give me an example today of where I've been sarcastic. You can't, because I haven't.
No, you have.
Today, give me an example.
Look, George was high rate, yeah? Okay? He called you, what was it, the something standouts or something? Yeah? He started being sarcastic. Don't cut off. How do you know he was going to cut off?
Because you can tell,
Ranj. He started being sarcastic, you belittled him, yeah?
Ranj,
yeah.
Listen. That wasn't sarcasm. I can tell when... I've been doing phone-in shows for about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
I can tell when someone's going to hang up because there's an intensity in their voice. They start to speed up and they have the defiance of someone who isn't going to listen. That wasn't sarcasm. That was me genuinely begging him not to hang up so we could have the discussion. So, I ask you again, give me an example today of where I've been sarcastic.
In my opinion, you was being sarcastic too.
Well, you don't know the meaning of sarcasm, Ranjit. You don't know...
And you cornered him. No, you cornered him.
Ranjit, you don't know the meaning of sarcasm then, because there was no sarcasm in there.
There was. You didn't even listen to his point.
No, I listened to his point. He called me a coward. He said that...
coward. No, he shouldn't have called you a coward. He was wrong there.
OK, thank you. He called me a coward.
Yeah.
He said that I was being disrespectful to the soldiers that had died for the freedoms. I would be goose-stepping if it wasn't for them. That's not actually true either.
Yeah.
And then he put the phone down, as I knew he would. There was no sarcasm in there.
Okay.
I ask you again, Ranjit, when have I been sarcastic this morning?
I've told you that, in my opinion, you were sarcastic to him.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, we can agree to disagree.
No, we can't agree to disagree.
No, because that's my opinion. You're there to listen to other people's opinion, and we listen to you. Now, when you're saying we could have been we wouldn't have been goose-stepping, right? I beg to differ on that, because Hitler had...
Ranjit.
No.
Ranjit, you're focusing on the minutiae when your whole point is a broad, badly painted one that makes no sense whatsoever. What is the point? OK, you've said I've been sarcastic today. You've yet to come up with any examples. So what is the point... What is your point today? And I did say I'd cut you off if you're boring me, and man alive, it's getting close to that. What is your point today?
My point was, in 1982, when I left school, me and a few friends, right, went to the Army Careers Office, and we would have signed up. My dad's brother was in the British Army at the time as well, and they said there was no call-up. But going, and I would have died for my country, and I wouldn't have had a problem. But now what I've learned on how we're going into wars that don't really involve us, and how our governments become turncoats, and how they don't look after the soldiers. I mean, in 1991, I read in the paper that there was a soldier that was in Iraq, but his family was being evicted because they couldn't pay the poll tax. That was the first time I thought, right, which was about 9 years after I was going to join, that, hang on, you're serving your country, but your family's being evicted because they can't pay the poll tax. Things like that has turned me off, and today, I mean, I'm too old now, I wouldn't, just like you, for that reason only, I would
Ranjit,
not encourage my children.
Can I do what you've done?
Sorry?
Can I do what you've done, and let's see how it makes you feel, right? So you're a pacifist, then?
No, I'm not.
Oh, but hang on, because I've asked the question about why would anyone join the armed forces, and because I've said I wouldn't fight for my country, George thinks I'm a coward, you think I'm a pacifist. So, do you see what you're doing, Ranjit? You're jumping to conclusion.
See, there you are, you're turning it on me, right? You mentioned, it might be because, if you listen to the recording when you said to George, it might be because I'm a pacifist.
Didn't say that.
You mentioned
I can tell you exactly what I said, Ranj.
You mentioned the word pacifist,
yeah,
so I'm not being
Ranjit.
boring now, right?
No,
I'm
Ranjit.
not a pacifist.
Ranjit.
Yeah.
Shall I tell you what I said?
Yeah.
You got two things wrong there. I said to George, maybe it's because I'm a pacifist. Didn't say the word pacifist to George, and I didn't say I'm a pacifist. I said after... Let me explain.
Yeah.
Slapping your wrist. I said, after George had gone, I talked about being a coward, and I said there is also a difference between cowardice and pacifism. Didn't say I was a pacifist.
OK.
Ranjit, I accept your apology.
No,
Thanks
no,
very
I'm
much.
not apologising. Listen.
Thank you very much for your call. 03453 00 9956 is the phone number. Producer Joe has just sent me a message on the computer. Children, stop squabbling. Ranjit, you need to clean your ears out with a bit of soap and a cotton bud, mate. Making things up. Anila's in Hodge Hill. Good morning, Anila.
Good morning, Ian.
What's the weather like in Hodge Hill?
It's horrible.
Oh, yeah, I know. Has summer finished? Was that summer last week?
Yeah, that was our summer. That's what we get in England.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. What can I do for you today, Anila?
I just want to say, ignore everybody who's been hating on you. I think they've got their heads so far stuck up their backside that they can't see sunlight anymore. I think you're absolutely ace. And I think you're very funny and very witty. And I love listening to you.
Oh, see, now, Anila, as I said, I don't know how to deal with it when people phone up and say nice things. It confuses me. You're very, very kind. I do think you're doing what I don't think Ranjit and George are doing. You're listening, you see. You're listening to what's being said and not just doing a knee-jerk reaction.
No, because I've got cousins that are in the forces, and I didn't find anything you said disrespectful at all.
And I'm trying my best not to be disrespectful. It's easy. It would be easy to come on and say, hey, soldiers are idiots. Oh, if you join the army, you're a muppet. That would be easy. We'd get loads of phone calls. Great. That's not that's not what this show is about. This show is about exploring ideas, having discussions that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but allowing ourselves to have those discussions. Yeah, Anila, you sound quite young to be listening to this kind of nonsense on a Saturday morning.
I'm 23 going on 24 next month.
Hey, well, happy birthday for next month. Why aren't you out, I don't know, hanging around outside Spa or something that young people do? Or playing Xbox?
Yeah, I have a life.
Oh, OK. What have you got planned for the rest of the day, Anila?
Working, and then I'm going to go watch the new Mrs. Brown Boys movie.
Oh, no, Anila, I've gone right off you!
Why?
I retweeted something on Twitter last night. I would rather clean out the toilets, the Portaloos in Glastonbury, than go and see Mrs. Brown, the movie.
Oh, no, she's absolutely funny.
Do you think it's... Why is it... I don't get it. Why do you think it's so funny?
I don't know. There's just something about him that makes me laugh.
OK, well, maybe give us a call next week and give us a review of the film.
I will do.
Anila, nice to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. I really liked Anila until then. I don't get this Mrs. Brown thing. In all honesty, I've not seen it, so I can't quite make it. Just from what I've read about it and the photographs, it looks awful. Mrs. Brown's. Ah, dearie me. Let's got an email here from Chris in Halesowen. Ian, you don't half get some professional drongos on this programme, and you handle them with more finesse than they could ever appreciate. Well, that's very, very kind. Thank you very much indeed. The way this show works, we have got new listeners, which is always great. The way this show works is I throw out a load of stuff. You can call in about that stuff any time you want. OK, so far we've got random irritations. People who read Harry Potter's books above the age of 14 should be sent to live on the Isle of Wight. It's National Armed Forces Day today. We're asking why would anyone join the armed forces. And here's something else. Ever drunk your own wee-wee? 03453 009956.
Pensnet,
Rugeley, Redditch,
Rowley Regis. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
Producer Joe, no, it's not going to happen. The way we communicate when we're doing this show is she's sat in one room, I'm sat in another room, and she types up messages on my screen. So we kind of communicate like that. Then we might speak to each other properly during the news and things. And she is adamant that she wants me to drink my own wee-wee for the show. Go on, do it. Do it for the show. Do it. It will be good for the show. Not going to happen. Yes, in the past, I have been tempted, as all young men are, after a certain amount. What I think it's like after 6 lagers, isn't it? That's one of the reasons I stopped drinking. After 6 lagers, you'll pretty much put anything in your mouth, liquid or solid, won't you? Of course you will. And but no, it's not happening for the show. If you've done it, 03453 00 9956. Now, should age be a factor if you need an operation? Should there be a cut-off point where we say, actually, do you know what? You're 70, you're 75, you're 80. We're not going to give you any more operations because, well, we won't get the investment back. You may only live for another few years, so why should we spend thousands of pounds on an operation? An 81-year-old woman has been denied... Does it depend what the operation is as well? I'll tell you why. This 81-year-old woman has been denied a breast reduction on the NHS. Retired shopkeeper Audrey Davis says she's in agony with her 48 double D bust. And it kind of got us talking here at WM this morning before we came on about whether there should be a cut-off age for NHS treatment. What are your thoughts on that? Should NHS treatment operations be available to everyone, whatever their age? Or should there be a point when you say, look, this operation is going to cost £10,000, you're 80 years old, you might only live for another couple of years, we're not going to get the investment back? The NHS is struggling. It can't afford all the treatment. It's losing millions, if not billions of pounds a year. So maybe this is one way of making some savings. 03453 00 9956. I'm joined now by Sid Ashby from the West Midlands Pensioners Convention. Morning, Sid.
Good morning to you.
Sid, what do you reckon to this idea that we have a cut-off point where we turn down, if not all, but some operations if you're over a certain age?
Well, I understand the need for saving, although I have my doubts even about that. We seem to be able to find money for all sorts of things, but when it comes to people's health, I don't think we should start trying to look for savings. As you may know, that the NHS England has recently made an additional £250 million available to general practice to support enhanced care for older people. It's true we've got an ageing population, and that ageing population are the people who paid their taxes and their health service contributions during their working lives in order to have treatment as required when they retire. There was no mention in the original contract when we made it with Her Majesty's government about age. It was that we would receive treatment as and when required according to the condition. Now, I'll grant you there can be an argument about whether there is a need for certain operations, but this is a matter really, isn't it, for a medical opinion to give. If it's going to help the life of the person concerned, age shouldn't come into it. I don't think age should be a factor at all in the decision whether or not to operate.
It has to be. Sorry to interrupt, Sid. It has to be to a certain extent, doesn't it? Because when you get older, your body can take your.
It's a slippery slope. If you want to start turning the clock back to the 1930s, if you could afford medication, you got it. If you couldn't afford it, you went without and you died young. The reason we're living longer now is because we have better conditions than we had in the 1930s. And I certainly don't think there's any case to start turning the clock back.
Yes. Sid, let me just make the point I was going to make. As you get older, your body is able to take less physical intrusion, isn't it? So there is more risk when you undergo operations once you start getting over 70, 75, 80.
I agree. I'm not arguing that it's a question. I'm saying for medical opinion must come into it and be a large factor. But the mere factor of age shouldn't be the deciding factor. I mean,
what about...
I'll be quite honest. I was diagnosed as have bowel cancer at the beginning of the year, and the consultant said to me that over the age of 80, surgery is not advisable because the results aren't really good. Well, I accept that opinion, and if an older person has a medical opinion suggesting that such treatment is not available, I think most people will take note of that. But I don't think age of itself should be the deciding factor.
The thing is, when we pay our national insurance and our tax, that's not going in the bank for when we need it in the future. That's covering the NHS costs now, isn't it? And old people aren't contributing to that.
Oh, indeed. I mean, I pay tax. Awful lot of old people are still paying tax. There's if you're...
They're not paying national insurance, are they?
We pay our tax. We don't pay national insurance, it's true. There are people arguing that we should go on paying national insurance. That is another matter. But when it comes to treatment, I insist that age should not be the deciding factor.
There are people being turned away for treatment and people not getting the medication they need because the NHS doesn't have the money is required. The NHS can't cope with the number of people we've got, can there? So surely there has to be some deciding factor as to who gets treatment and who doesn't. And a lot of pensioners as well, Sid, I'm sure you'll agree, they got a load of money tucked up in the bank or stored in property. Shouldn't they contribute financially?
This is a difficult one, isn't it? I hear what you're saying, and I accept there is an argument to be made. But again, once you have start tinkering with universal benefits, you destroy the system very quickly. Once you start taking away from what we've got, the point is this: we're still one of the richest nations in the world, are we not? If we can't adjust our finances to cope with the needs of the population, then something's going wrong. When I read in my newspapers that the 15 richest families in this country have the wealth, the same wealth as 20% of the population, then I'm not willing to accept cuts on grounds of age. Something's gone wrong with the system when you start getting this bigger and bigger gap between the rich and the poorer. And if you start bringing in rules such as you suggest, it is the poorer people who are going to suffer, no question about it.
Sid, I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
It's all my pleasure.
Thank you, Sid. Sid Ashby from the West Midlands Pensioners Convention. He puts forward his argument very well. Ranjit, you could learn a few lessons from Sid. I wouldn't say he owned me, but he got pretty much... He was looking at the deeds. 03453 009956. Let's get your thoughts on this. Should there be a cut-off point in terms of age for certain operations? Audrey Davis is an 81-year-old woman. She's been denied breast reduction on the NHS. Well, when you hear that initially, you're probably going, well, good. Why should an old woman get her boobs made smaller on the NHS? But it's causing her agony. Her 48 double D bust is causing her agony. That changes it slightly, doesn't it? She's in pain. Her life would be made better. And then you hear about that silly woman with the HD eyebrows who's been in the sun all week, who got her boobs made bigger and then made smaller, and then who knows what they did. They could spin round and light up. I don't know. That was done on the NHS. Should there be a cut-off point? And a significant number of old people, not all of them, not saying all of them, a significant number of old people do have money either in the bank or in their property. Paid off their mortgages, they own their property, they've got a few grand in there. Well, couldn't they take a bit of that out and contribute towards it? 03453 009956. Sue's in Drayton Bassett. Morning, Sue.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm hot. It's very humid today.
It is.
I'm very sweaty. I might take my shirt off.
Oh, dear. No, don't do that. That's common.
Come on.
That's very common, Ian.
It's common. I wouldn't do it out in public, but I can only be seen by... I've got Andy, Joe and Bernie here, so there's only 3 people that could see me.
Yes, but why should you subject to them to seeing you with your shirt off?
No, I'm hoping it creates a spontaneous shirt taking off and everybody whips theirs off.
No,
and it's not,
you're not common at WM. I've been there.
Well, hang on. Have you ever met Adrian Goldberg?
I have, yes.
Yeah, well, then you'll know. Sue, what do you want to say?
This business about 70-year-old cutting off operations. No, of course not. What a dreadful society we would live in if we did that. That's on the road to destroying the NHS, and we must stay off that road altogether. But as another alternative, if it had to be done, I would certainly not have it subjected to our elderly population, because I think that Britain should be very, very proud that we have a population that's growing older. That shows how we are looking after them to a point. I do think we could do an awful lot more, and I don't like this path that we seem to be treading on now, that we're making it almost a crime to live to be an old age. We should celebrate that. But if you do want to stop people having operations, I think you should look at the prisoners, the paedophiles, people like that have done dreadful crimes.
Prisoners?
If you're going to stop people having health care, they're the ones that should be stopped, not our lovely older population.
All prisoners?
Sorry?
All prisoners?
No. You know, paedophiles, rapists, murderers. I don't mean shoplifters.
Well, that's the thing is that's going to be a few hundred people, so that's not going to save us anything, really.
Well, if you're going to start on anybody like that, well, then just stop all the health care altogether. Also, stop people having them who haven't contributed anything. Not the older person that's worked all their lives and paid.
But the thing is, if you say prisoners, we don't give any NHS treatment to prisoners. But there is a chance a young prisoner, say in his mid-20s, who's made a horrible, heinous, awful mistake in his life, there is a chance he may go on and live for another 60, 70 years and be a productive, responsible member of society and put back into society more than he's taken out. Whereas a pensioner, and I'm not saying this is what I think, I'm just putting this up as an argument, Sue, someone who's 85 and goes and has an operation, they might only live for another 2 years.
Well, so be it. They've contributed, they've lived a good life for 80 years, they've lived a nice, good life, they've never harmed anyone. So, yes, let them have that reward when they need it. Admittedly, there are certain operations that, as you get older, your body cannot take. But I also want to just add a little bit more. If we were stopping operations for 70-year-olds, I would not be doing this afternoon what I'm going to do.
What are you doing?
I am going to my great-aunt Irene's 100th birthday party.
Oh, fantastic.
I know, which is lovely as well.
Has she got the telegram?
Yes. They deliver them on the actual morning of the birthday. The post office, I believe, have them a couple of days beforehand, and they have to check that person who it's for is actually still living at that address.
Right.
Because the postman knocked on my aunt's door a couple of days ago and to clarify that she was who she was, and it is her 100th birthday today, so it will be delivered for her this morning.
Oh wow! You're going to get to see the telegram.
I am.
That's the coolest thing.
I might if I remember, I'll take a photograph of it and I'll put it on Facebook.
Take a picture. I'm being told it's a card now, not a telegram. I wonder if it's one of those rude cards.
I doubt it.
One of those ones that says, Sue was upset because somebody farted. You know those kind of cards?
No,
that would be inappropriate,
cards
would it?
like that. Ian.
Yeah. Well,
Don't lower the conversation into the
You could just imagine the Queen walking around Clinton's going, oh, this one's funny. I think she'd like this. Well, listen.
No, not really. She's probably never heard of Clinton's.
You're right. Listen, thank you very much for that, Sue. Very nice. Go and have a lovely day. Send my love to your aunt. 100 today. The reason, thank you, Sue, the reason that people are living so long and we're having this problem is because medical science has advanced so much. Could be argued, couldn't it, that medical science has, I don't know, advanced too much? That people's lives are being prolonged unnecessarily. And it's costing us a fortune, isn't it? 03453 009956. What do you think to the argument that after a certain age, maybe 70 is too young, 80? After 80, you don't get operations on the NHS. You've got to pay for them. Give us a call on that. Joe's in Tamworth. Morning, Joe.
Morning, Ian.
What do you want to say, boss?
I've got two big ones. I had a prostate cancer when I was 55.
Oh, mate.
And they saved my life. And then I've just had another one about 3 weeks ago. They put tubes in my back because I've got a gallstone behind my kidney.
Oh, flippin' heck.
And it's causing fluid. So what they've done, I had to lay on my belly and they put the things in my back. And the fluid comes out, so I keep alive. And I'm 84.
Joe, you shouldn't have had that operation, that second operation.
No.
You're too old.
They wanted to operate, and they said, we can't go until you're living. He said, we're going to, because I've got a catheter on my leg, and it goes into my belly, and they said, we're going to try to put the tubes through, cross my kidney, and bring it so I can get rid of the catheter. But they said, we can't go until you'll be alive.
I'm just wincing and crossing my legs. It sounds very unpleasant. Do you not think, though, Joe, that there's too much poking around? They're poking around too much.
No, I'm active enough. I'm active enough for it. It's just my legs are going because I've got a scooter. And if you see people texting as they walk into my bloody scooter, either they've got them or the earpiece in the ears, I blow me horn and they don't hear me. And they're walking in front of me, and they're texting even on the bike, push bikes on the footpath. They're texting.
Oh, you've just reminded... Right, OK, you've given me... We're talking random irritations, if you just tuned in. You've given me two more. People who ride bicycles, Joe, when they've got their headphones on, hate that. Hate that. That's dangerous. And also, do you ride your scooter, your buggy, do you ride it on the road?
No, I can do. I can do, Ian, but...
No.
I did try it. I can do. I've got a number plate on the back.
No.
Yeah. We haven't got road tax because it goes over 15 miles an hour.
No, it does. With the greatest of respect, sir, you should not be allowed to ride that thing on the road.
No, you
They're
can't.
a menace.
No, I don't, Ian.
Good.
I don't have it, but it's law that we got to have it.
Oh, really?
So because if you go across a crossing and you cross over, you're on the road, see.
Do you get any training for those buggies?
No.
Oh, mate, you know you need to... I'm sure you're an excellent driver, Joe. I'm not criticising you. But you must have seen some old biddies out there that are rubbish on those things.
Yeah. I had one the other day, Ian, trying to get a bat, one of them things they push, trying to get between me and the bloody scooter. Dead honest. I couldn't believe it. And then one walked in front of me, a young girl, and said, look where you're going to me. And she was texting.
Oh,
well,
no.
I see a lot of it, and when they blow their horn, they can't hear you. So what's it like if they cross the road and they can't hear the car horn?
Joe, listen, I appreciate your call, thank you. We have been talking... Producer Joe, I'm trying to do a radio station, do a radio show. I can't play games at the moment. What line is this from? I'm an excellent driver. Name the film. I've got no idea. I'm trying to do a radio show. I'm talking to the listeners. Random irritations, OK? People who read Harry Potter books who are over the age of 15, people who text while they're walking. Those buggies. Surely those people need to go on a training course, don't they? They need to have lessons, don't they? So many times you'll see somebody driving one of those buggies and you just think, oh, my God, they're going too fast. They don't look where they're going. They don't know how to brake. Awful. Give us a call. Let's have a quick little recap before we go to the travel. We're talking about random irritations. It started for me this morning when I was at the petrol station and everybody was all over the shop. 4 cars were waiting because they didn't know that the petrol pump will stretch round to the other side of the car. Also, adults who read Harry Potter books, they're for kids. If you want to read books, there are some great books for adults out there. Don't read Harry Potter. Texting while you're walking. People who can't drive those buggies properly. We're asking as well, it's Armed Forces Day today. Why would anybody join the Armed Forces? Maybe my intonation is incorrect. OK, let me phrase it like this. Why do people join the armed forces? Does that sound less accusatory, less aggressive? I'm not doing it in an aggressive... Why would anybody want to join the armed forces? Ugh! I genuinely want to know, why do people join the armed forces? It would never cross my mind. And if my boys came home and said, Dad, we've just signed up for the army, I'd say, well, you're 4 and 2, so that's not legally binding. But if they were older, I'd be really disappointed. We're also asking as well, older people, should there be a cut-off point when old people stop getting operations on the NHS. 03453 009956. It's 10:45, BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Iain, thank you. It's still rather heavy going into Birmingham through Selly Oak as you head along the A38 between Chapel Lane and Priory Road in particular, going through Edgbaston as well towards Belgrave Middleway. There's restrictions in the centre of Birmingham because of the Armed Forces Day event taking place. Broad Street is going to be closed from Sheepcote Street and Paradise Circus shortly in the next 15 minutes or so. It's going to be shut until about 1:30 so that the parade can take place. A number of buses also be diverted as well, but all the shops and businesses in the city centre will be open as usual. Expect disruption as well as the homecoming parade by the 3rd Battalion, the Mercian Regiment, in the centre of Lichfield. So in the city centre you'll find a number of temporary road closures as the parade passes through. There's an Armed Forces Day event also taking place in Albury. Freeth Street is now shut and remains closed until 6 o'clock this evening. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
The greatest music festival in the world.
What's up, Glastonbury?
Only from BBC Music.
With more performances
and more ways of enjoying them.
Experience a weekend of incredible live music.
Whatever you're into, wherever you are,
and whenever you want it,
say hello Glastonbury. Catch it all at bbc.co.uk/Glastonbury.
I'm so glad I'm not going to Glastonbury. I'm supposed to be going to see Monty Python next week, right? I thought it was weeks away, and my friend said, so you ready for next week? Why, what's happening? You're going to see Monty Python? Am I? Now, here's the thing, right? Really excited about it. Here's the thing. I don't know what day I'm supposed to be going to see Monty Python, and I haven't got my tickets yet. Should I start panicking? Yes, I should start panicking. How did I get my tickets? Well, I got them from a hooky website and paid a fortune for them, and they've not arrived yet. I've got to phone up straight after this show and find out what on earth is going on. Do you want to come, Joe? Do you want to come and see Monty Python with me? Yeah? OK, great. That'll be £150, please. Yep. I've got 3 tickets. It looks like it's probably just going to be me going now. That'll be fun. 03453 009956 is the phone number. June's on the line. Good morning, June.
Hello, Iain.
June, have you ever drunk your own wee?
Sorry?
Oh, I feel bad saying this again. Have you ever drunk your own wee?
I like a cup of tea too much. Oh, no. Give me a cup of tea.
A cup of tea instead of a cup of wee any time of the... What would you like to say, June?
About operations.
Yeah.
I'm 88, and last year I had a total hip operation.
Oh, mate, wow.
Yeah, and I'm fighting fit.
Are you sure you're fighting fit?
Yes.
You're not feeling short of breath?
No, oh, well, occasionally, but...
Little bit achy?
No, fine.
Not feeling a bit faint?
No.
Oh. So it sounds like you might make it to 100 as well.
Well, I listened to the other lady. I'm looking forward to that. My son's already arranged... Well, he said he is. My 90th birthday, so I don't know what that is.
A bungee jump?
Probably. Or
you want to do a bungee jump?
Or
yeah, skydiving followed by a nice glass of warm wee.
Sorry?
Skydiving will be good.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. Now I've had this operation. I've got a lot of spare time on my hands. I can... Excuse me. Oh, dear, I've got a funny throat.
Here we go. This could be the start.
Hip.
So you reckon, June, that operations, they should be free for people over 80 on the NHS?
I mean, I worked until I was 60, a little bit of time off when I had the children. My late husband, he worked until he retired. So really, we paid into it.
But June, you're costing me a fortune.
Am I?
Your hip cost me a fortune.
Is it?
Yes.
How much?
£5,000, £6,000?
Well, I did inquire private, about 10,000.
Could you have afforded that?
That's without the, medication and everything like that. I didn't go private.
You can do the tango now, can you, in the foxtrot?
Oh, yes, and the waltz and the quick step, everything.
June, fantastic.
I danced the Rob Brolly on a Sunday afternoon.
You do what, sorry?
I danced to Bob Rolly's music on the
Oh,
Sunday
fantastic.
afternoon.
Good. Well, that's perfect. I'm glad you are. June, listen, you're a very good sport. Thank you very much for calling.
Okay, thank you. Take
See you
care.
later on. Ta-ta, bye-bye. Well, June's never had a cup of wee, but apparently it's a new health craze that's about to hit Britain. There's a segue, guys. There's a segue, isn't there? Drinking your own wee-wee is said to have numerous health benefits and is becoming increasingly popular across the world. No one has been brave enough this morning to call in and say, yes, Iain, I've done it. But I know some of you have, whether it be for a drunken dare, curiosity, or for whatever reason. 03453 009956. Someone who has done it is Sylvia Chandler from Moseley. She joins me now. It's called urotherapy, isn't it, Sylvia?
Well, yes, something like that. Uropathy.
You're off. Okay,
Uropathy.
right. I'll let you say that. When did you first start drinking your wee-wee?
About 20 years ago.
Why?
Well, I don't know if you know the Zen shops in Birmingham, but I started the Zen shops, and we were very interested in supplying forms of natural health, herbs, essential oils, different techniques, ancient techniques that have been forgotten about. And when I started to study the effects of urine therapy, I mean, you call it a new craze, but I must tell you, this is an ancient craze because, you know, we didn't always have hot and cold running, and the ancients weren't so preoccupied with hygiene as we are.
Yes.
So that source of hot, beautiful water would never have been wasted. It goes back thousands and thousands of years. It's documented in early Indian texts and Chinese texts. And in some countries, for example, Germany, it has been an extremely popular therapy for many, many, many years.
Oh, but the Germans, though, they're into all kinds of crazy stuff, aren't they?
Well, it's not crazy. It's not crazy at all. I mean, it's mentioned all over the Bible and every other religious text. They call it the
first time you did it. The first time you did it, Sylvia, you must have been apprehensive. Or did you do it on your own? Did you have a party?
Apprehensive. Well, no. It was my boyfriend. I read a lot of texts and books. After I read the first article on it, I was fascinated by the claims that were being made. And we had so many people coming into the Zen shops with cancer, with AIDS, people so poorly. And when I read this information, I said to Roger, I'm going to tell everybody I know about this, especially the people who are poorly. And Roger said to me, don't you dare tell a vulnerable, ill person, Sylvia, until you've tried it yourself. And I was pretty horrified by that. But he brought round a tune later. Roger used to sing with it still does sing with a band called The Beat. And he brought round a tune that Mick Jones from The Clash had written, Big Audio Dynamite, The Medicine Show.
Yeah.
Take you to the place where the healing flows. This is the stuff that heals the nation. Just one sip and you can heal your bones. If you don't heal your bones, use it to clean your clothes. Chinese laundries. It's been used. It's been used for thousands of years for not just good health, but the laundry industry, the textile industry, the leather industry, the cosmetic, the pharmaceutical. Loads of things are extracted from urine and sold back in little pink pills.
So how do you do it? Do you just squat over a pint glass and then sup?
You sit on the toilet and pee into a glass instead of just straight down the toilet and just drink it. But if, to begin with, if you're a little apprehensive, just take about an inch and a half in a glass and fill it up with your favourite juice. And then tell me if you don't notice a huge amount of energy and improved eyesight. On the first day, you notice a tremendous amount of difference. I was shocked.
But isn't your wee? I thought it was full of toxins and poisons that you were supposed to get rid of.
No, it doesn't come from the gut. The urine comes through the liver with the blood.
Yeah.
So the liver being the finest filter on earth, it's just part of the blood. When it gets to the kidney is a blood regulator. It's not a toxic eliminator. It says, oh, you've got enough vitamin C, so this excess vitamin C we can take out. And basically, this drink that you ingest is now full of structured water as opposed to dead water, which is what we're all drinking from our taps and bottles. So you re-ingest living, structured water, and it contains every element necessary to create and sustain life.
You're not saying that wee is better than council pop, something you get from the tap, are you, Sylvia?
Much better, yes.
No!
Yes.
What does it... OK, why isn't this more widely known, then? Why, when I go to my doctors, does he not say, Iain, you need to have a pint of wee?
Well, he used to up until 1940, but in 1940 the World Health Organization made it illegal for him to tell you, not just your doctor, your dentist and your optician too, because it's wonderful for eyesight, it's wonderful for toothache and abscess. So I promise if ever you cut yourself or burn yourself really badly, you want to see a miracle happen, just soak the burn or the cut in urine. It's amazing. Look how babies come out. That's what they've been floating in. Their skin is soft and beautiful.
So do you we've got to put this delicate because we have young ears listening, but then do you put wee-wee on your face?
Oh, yes.
Your own?
Yes, of course. Why would
it has to be your own, does it?
Well, yes, unless it's an emergency, and then you could use somebody else's. But I mean,
emergency.
If you look at the word urea, which is the only place moisture comes from,
yes,
you'll see it in washing up liquid. You won't see the word moisture without the word urea. Why pay hundreds of pounds for a jar of moisture cream containing pig's urine? Put your own on.
What kind of emergency would you need another person's urine?
Well, say, for example, you had been burnt badly and, there was no wee available. Yes, I'd ask you to wee all over me.
Sylvia, we've barely met. I'd feel bad. What do your friends and your family say about this? They go, "Oh, here comes wee Sylvia."
No, most of my friends do it. There are thousands of people in Birmingham who drink their urine. I've stood in Birmingham for the last 20 years shouting at the top of my voice about this to give people a choice when they want to look after themselves and take care of themselves. It's worth doing a little study on it because there's that much documented evidence. But I'm afraid the pharmaceutical companies don't want people to know. So
if I were a braver man, we're coming up to the news and I do need a wee and I am going to go for one. And if I were a braver man, I would come back after 11 and I would sup some live on air. I don't think I'm going to do that, though. There's something that feels wrong about it.
No, you've just been programmed to think it was wrong. Whilst you were in your mummy's tummy, you drank it all the way through whilst you were being grown there. Everybody has drunk urine. It's what we drank in our mother's stomachs.
And we've got all of this...
Perfect.
We've got all of this to blame on Ranking Roger from The Beat, have we?
I'm afraid so. He's the one that made me. He just put it on me and said, "Sylvia, don't you dare tell a vulnerable sick person until you've tried it yourself." And of course, he was absolutely right.
Thank you for that, Ranking Roger.
And I was shocked.
OK, final question. How much do you drink a day, Sylvia?
2 or 3 glasses a day.
Yeah. And do you chill it or do you have it fresh from the source?
I just have it fresh from the source. To begin with, I chilled it, put juice on it. But after a couple of weeks, it was so clean and so lovely.
Beautiful.
I just didn't have a problem.
Sylvia, it's really nice talking to you this morning. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Sylvia Chandler there from Moseley. I'm giggling because I've become a 13-year-old schoolboy again who finds this hilarious. I do need to go to the toilet, and I will be going to the toilet while Nicole does her bulletin that's coming up. Am I going to drink it? No, I'm not. I'm not going to. Sorry to disappoint you, Producer Joe. Sorry to disappoint you, dear listener. I don't want to become a viral clip of that local radio presenter that drank his own wee-wee. But... want to hear your stories. Jane Hagley Road, you've called in. I'll come to you in a bit. Have you ever? Would you ever? You just heard Sylvia there put forward, well, it sounds like a very strong argument for doing it. What did you make of what Sylvia had to say about drinking her own wee-wee? 03453 009956, or you can text 81333 WM.
We full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
I'm looking at a pint glass, but no, I shan't. It's 11 o'clock. Let's get the news now with Nicole Pullman.
An independent investigation has found that missing paperwork and weak leadership led to the remains of unborn babies being kept in a hospital mortuary in the West Midlands for up to 4 years. In March, Walsall Manor Hospital admitted that the remains of 86 babies had been kept because the correct forms hadn't been filled in. The investigation has concluded that the Trust had since strengthened processes to stop it happening again. Since the 15th of April, the Trust has carried out 81 of the 86 cremations. 3 burials have been organised and separate arrangements agreed for the remaining 2. In other news, the United States has launched armed drones to fly over Baghdad. It said it wanted to protect American military advisors who are in the city, helping Iraqi forces counter the Sunni uprising in the north and the west of the country. A man is starting a 6-year sentence after he was caught walking down a Birmingham street with a sawn-off shotgun in a plastic bin bag. 45-year-old Gary Rose was also carrying a large kitchen knife when he was spotted by police in Cotswold Close in Franklin. Rose, who's from Devon Road in Franklin, is a convicted robber, and he tried to hide but was caught after the area was cordoned off. The gun he was carrying wasn't loaded, and he claimed he'd only just been handed the weapon by 2 unnamed people. The Rolling Stones guitarist Ronnie Wood has led tributes to the American soul and R&B artist Bobby Womack, who's died. He was 70. In a message on Twitter, Ronnie Wood said, "The man who could make you cry when he sang and has brought tears to my eyes with his passing has gone from us." Ryan Parker from the Los Angeles Times says Bobby Womack was hugely influential.
He maybe isn't as commercially successful as some of the other artists of his genre, Marvin Gaye, Wilson Pickett, but, you know, he did write songs that were huge hits for Wilson Pickett and the Rolling Stones, including their first hit in the UK. His mastery of genres knows no end.
Commemorations will take place in Sarajevo today to mark the 100th anniversary of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, whose death led to the outbreak of World War I. In London, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh are due to attend a service at the Royal Chelsea Hospital. The weather, cloudy with some heavy thundery showers today, and an afternoon top temperature of 19 Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit. Dry tonight and mild with an overnight low of 9 Celsius, 48 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, mainly fine and dry with some sunshine, but the possibility of just a few showers too. Feeling pleasant in the sunshine tomorrow with light winds. And that's BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice.
The voice.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
I'm still a little bit speechless. If I'm completely honest, I'm a little bit speechless after our last guest who drinks her own wee-wee. You'll be pleased to know I did go to the bathroom, I did go to the toilet, and I did not drink. I did not partake. It's a long shot. Ever drunk your own wee-wee? You would have heard our last guest there. She's been doing it for 20 years. She says it's great for the skin, it's healthy, we should all be doing it. What are your thoughts on that? Still taking your calls as well on why do people join the armed forces? It's National Armed Forces Day today. I'm sure lots of you are out celebrating. Is that the right word? As someone, I've had family members join the armed forces. I can't get my head around it. I don't know why anybody would. If you could help clear that up, that would be great. What else are we talking about? Random irritations. Should we stop operations for older people? Oh, and in this hour, Suarez. Do you think he's been overly punished? The punishment he's received for biting another player, what is it, 9 games and 4 months or something? Is that a little bit harsh? I put it to you, dear listener, that Luis Suarez should be heralded as a hero for making a rather dull game a little bit more interesting. Your thoughts, please. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453
009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
I don't like football, as you know. I've not watched any of the World Cup apart from the opening ceremony and the first game because I was contractually obliged. I've had no interest in it. Until Suarez bit that fella. And then suddenly I'm interested. Suddenly I'm talking to people about the World Cup. I'm finding out more about this Suarez character and his fangs. I'm sucked in to football. I can see how football can be more exciting. Shouldn't we be applauding him for bringing passion back into a rather soulless game? The punishment seems a little bit harsh for me. He's obviously got issues. He's obviously, I don't want to say nuts, but, you know, he's obviously got anger issues, shall we say. But he's made the game exciting to people who don't care about the game. Shouldn't we be applauding Luis Suarez instead of punishing him? 03453 009956. But before that, we were speaking to Sylvia Chandler. She drinks her own wee-wee. I can't quite get my head around that. Jay's in Hagley Road. Oh no, let's go to, Ivy first. Good morning, Ivy.
Good morning, Ian.
Ivy in Small Heath, what would you like to say?
When we was growing up back in the Caribbean, if you have a bad cold, they used to give you herb, and if the herb didn't work, you drink your own wee-wee for the cold to clear that. Because years gone back, they didn't have doctors and things like what we have today. We drink our own. Use that for a cold, you use it for sore eyes, and if you pick up any information in your feet, you soak your feet in it, and that does it. A lot of the things that we're having today, all these chemicals, is not as good as the natural things. But they only do that if people got sore feet, you pick up any information in your feet, and you soak it.
When was the last... OK, Ivy, when was the last time you had a nice glass of wee-wee?
Not a nice glass. No, not like Sylvia. I don't do that. It's just if you have a cold or if you got sore eyes.
What, you soak your eyes in wee?
Yeah.
But your eyes are going to smell of wee.
No.
That's horrible.
You know, you don't know till you try it because, I'm talking from what I've been growing up with, and I use a lot of the old wife things that my dad gave me, and so far I'm quite healthy.
But we've got science and medicine and doctors now, like proper doctors.
It's doing to us.
It's making us better.
Half what you eat is full of chemical. You look at somebody that don't have any chemical in their food, their skin is much more healthier, they're much more healthier than all this chemical they're bunging us up with. Yes? Everything you eat, it got something in it. Because at the same time, back in the Caribbean, you don't got all this chemical. People are 100 and they look beautiful.
Yes.
I don't say people don't look beautiful here.
And that's because they've been washing their eye and wee-wee.
Yeah, but all these are fresh, Ian. Come on. All these
but it's fresh wee-wee, though. That's the thing I don't get. It's not... I can understand fresh vegetables.
You only drink this for certain things. If you have a cold or you got bad feet, you soak your feet in it. Because sometimes it's good to have the medical, but at the same time, half the things, it helps one and puts something else out of action. Come on.
What's wrong with one of those little foot spas that you get? And you soak your feet in that?
Yeah, no, I don't. It's just if you wee, you just take it and rub it over your bottom feet and the top of your feet. You try it.
No, I'm not going to try that.
No, you're scared. You're covered.
I'm not. I am a bit scared. I'm also. I like to think I'm sensible. I don't want stinky wee-wee feet.
No, but when you do that, you're not going to go. You're not going to walk with that. You've done that, and then afterward, you because it's like a medication. Come on.
Yeah.
And then you wash your feet. Do what you got to do.
But wee-wee is waste. It's all of the fluids from your body that you don't need anymore.
Yeah.
So why would you put them back in your body?
Because it's 9 out of 10 times it's better than putting these chemicals that you don't know what they are or what you're taking.
When was the last time you had a cold and you drank a glass of pee?
Not for some time.
Yeah.
Not for some time.
Did you give it to your kids and your grandkids?
I ain't got no grandkids.
Oh, I do apologise. I'm so sorry.
I ain't got no grandkids.
Did your kids drink it?
No. Because
No.
at the same time, they've been brought up in this country, so
Good.
they get used to this country, what this country give out, medical. And you come into it, Ian, soon if you don't have it, you ain't going to get it.
Ivy, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. Well, there we go. We found the golden caller. It's a radio term, trust me. And she drinks her own wee. I honestly didn't think we'd find one today. Can we? Anybody else out there? Am I being? It's funny when you talk about this, and I'll get an email from my boss for saying wee too much. And if you've got any children in the back of the car, I bet they are wetting themselves. But save that. I turn into like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old when we talk about stuff like this because it just seems so naughty and ridiculous and just out there. I don't necessarily... I'm going to do a little bit of research into this later on today. I don't necessarily buy into the health effects of it. Is it not psychological? Are you not conning yourself into thinking you're getting better? 03453 009956. Jay's in Hagley Road. Morning, Jay.
Morning.
Can you believe all of this?
It's quite funny.
It's grim, isn't it?
No, but, to be fair, my dad... also got,
Jay, sorry, is your mouth anywhere near the telephone? It's hard to hear you.
Sorry, I think it's the radio in the background. Okay.
There we go, that's better, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I have to say, good morning, yeah. You've been kind of making me laugh. Like, it's the first, I'm at my mate's house at the moment. It's the first time I actually listened to your radio station. You're quite entertaining.
Thank you, Joe. Jay, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm here every Saturday, 9 till 12, so you spread the word, man.
I think I will do. I have to be honest. The drinking the urine. My dad told me. Me personally, I haven't drank it, but my dad told me he bought it off you, and he told me that his mum, which is my nan, who passed away obviously, but she used to urine on a rag and wipe her face, and her face was so clean. So, Sylvia, I do agree with a lot of what she said. Your second last. Viewer.
The caller, yeah.
Yeah, she's got a lot of truth in what she's saying, to be fair. And the last caller also, she's got a lot of truth in what she's saying. Personally, I don't think I would drink it. And
where was your nan from?
She was from Jamaica.
Okay,
but she was half like the Aborigine, like Australian side as well.
Oh, okay. And she'd wash her face in it.
She'd wee on a rag. Apparently, she'd wee pee on a rag, and she would wipe her face with it, and it would make her skin so clean, so pure. And so I do. There is a lot of truth here in actually, urine. Other than that, I did want to ask you a question here. To be honest, you made me laugh about this Suarez thing as well.
Yeah, he's a genius, isn't he?
Well, I don't know about that.
He is. Listen, I don't like football. It doesn't interest me in the slightest. Okay, but he has made the World Cup for me really, really exciting. He's brought passion and life to it.
Yeah, I think you understand that.
Jay, we're losing the line. It's not the greatest line. I really appreciate your phone call. Thank you. Hey, first-time listener, first-time caller. I'll have some of them. Thank you, Jay. 03453 009956. The wee thing, and I'm really sorry, there'll be some of you going, oh, for goodness sakes, can you stop banging on about it? I genuinely think this is fascinating. I'm doing it slightly for childish kicks. Of course I am. I'm a 41-year-old man. My two boys, they're constantly talking about their bodily excretions, constantly. And I have to do the responsible boys. We don't talk about that. But inside I'm going, oh, yeah, they said poo. But seriously, boys, come on now. We don't talk about that kind of stuff. There's a slight childish kick to it, but there is a serious element to it as well. We're hearing that maybe it's a cultural thing and maybe it's a generational thing, that years ago people would wipe their face with it, soak their feet in it, drink it if they had a cold. And our guest we spoke to earlier, Sylvia, drinks 2 or 3 glasses of it every day, and she says it does her the world of good. Is there any science in this? If you're a chemist or a doctor or a urologist, is there any science in this? What exactly is in there? if it's so useful to the body, why are we getting it out of our bodies? I'd love to get your thoughts on this. And we will be talking as well about Suarez. Surely this man should be applauded as the saviour of modern football. Cliff, stay there, be with you in a second. 03453 009956. It's 11:15, BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel now with Liz Saul.
Iain, thank you. In Handsworth, it's looking rather slow now as you head along Soho Road inbound, passing Rookery Road and Bolton Road along the A41. And not too bad in Selly Oak on the A38. There are various restrictions in the centre of Birmingham, round the city centre, from started about 15 minutes ago, but going on until 5 o'clock. Broad Street is going to be shut as well. It's in the process of being so between Sheepcut Street and Paradise Circus because of the parade going on until about 1:30. There's a number of buses being diverted as well. Similar story too in Oldbury. Freeth Street is shut now until 6 o'clock this evening because of the Armed Forces Day event there. Various other temporary restrictions when a parade goes by as well. There's a homecoming parade in Lichfield, the 3rd Battalion Mercian Regiment, going through the city centre from midday today. So again, a number of temporary road closures. Motorway routes, just looking at the Highways Agency cameras, they're faring rather well so far this morning. There's disruption on public transport all the way between Birmingham New Street and Edinburgh and London Euston. It's because of a broken down train in the Lockerbie area. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
Hunted. We started off this morning in Victoria Park in Smethwick. We hastened to Harborne Church Farm Golf Course.
Just to say we're at the Bowlplex now. Yeah! Put that in your pipe and smoke it! Smoke it!
I can taste this victory.
Let's
It
give him
tastes
this moment
delicious.
of glory.
Yum, yum.
Hunted.
With Richard Wilford.
This Sunday morning from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
Right, lot to cram in the last 45 minutes or thereabouts before Adam Bridge comes on at midday and takes over. You know what we're talking about. The last couple of things that we've mentioned have been drinking your own urine. And also, before midday, I want to talk about Luis Suarez, the footballer. Should he be heralded as a hero? Or is he a bad influence on our kids? I guess because I'm not into football, I kind of forget that lots of children look up to footballers. What do you do if you've got a kid that bites? I used to be a biter. I'll tell you what my mum did to stop me biting in a little bit. Cliff's in Tipton. Morning, Cliff.
Good morning, you little biter.
Cheeky.
Urine. It's a funny thing, but when you go to give a sample, why do they wear rubber gloves to take it from you? If you hand a sample over your doctor's counter, they say, oh, is it wrapped up? What comes out of the other body when you urinate is all the imperfections, all the impurities, everything that the kidneys filter out. So I can't see any sense in drinking it. Keeping your feet warm in it, yes, but not drinking it, no.
Well, they wear the gloves in case there's been splashback, don't they? But you're right, it is toxins, I would have thought. I don't know. We need a doctor before midday. I need a doctor I don't actually know what urine is. I don't know what's in it. I've got no idea what's in it. It'll be interesting to find out if there are any vitamins or chemicals or anything like that. And here's a question, Cliff. Why is it yellow?
Why is it yellow? Well, it can vary. I mean, if I eat beetroot, mine turns lilac.
Yeah.
So you could use it as a food dye, really. But can I just get on to irritations, please?
Yeah, well, yes, go on, Cliff.
Right, my irritation is folks who go to historical sites, and I'm thinking of somebody now who's a friend of mine, and then insist upon telling you all about them. I've got a friend who teaches in Central Europe.
Yeah.
And currently he's going around taking photos of where the assassin of the Archduke lived.
Okay.
Now, I can't
Very
see
topical.
any sense in going around taking photographs of buildings where somebody who started the First World War lived, or going to old sites where some lord was shot, or where he killed his servant for stealing a tanner, and that. It just gets me that folks have so little in their lives that they have to keep on thinking about either World War I or World War II or how patriotic you should be. And I think that you were very wise in trying to keep George on the other phone. Because obviously...
This was George, just for those who didn't listen, this was George about an hour and 10 minutes ago, who was offended by some of the questions I was asking about military service. He implied I was a coward and then he hung up, yes.
Well, you see, to be broad-minded, I think I am broad-minded. The idea of a discussion is to talk about left and right and centre.
Yeah.
And to see what's going on. I think that George was very short-sighted in hanging up. He didn't give you a chance. You gave him every chance. But, you see, the older generation were brought up in a completely different world to us. They were taught to be patriotic and to go and fight in the King's name, although the King obviously didn't go and fight. He stayed at home. And to obey authority.
I would be more inclined, Cliff. It's still not completely convinced. I would be more inclined to go and fight in a war if I was bunking up next to David Cameron and Ed Miliband and all of those people. You know, if they were standing on the front line with rifles as well, then maybe I'd be a bit more interested. But
I think if I was fighting with David Cameron, there might be an element of friendly fire there.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Cliff, listen, nice to talk to you. Thank you very much. 03453 00 9956. Yeah, George was a caller who took offence because I'm asking... He took offence at two things. One, the question, why do people join the armed forces? And also me saying, I couldn't join the armed forces. I wouldn't fight for my country. Said I was a coward, and then he hung up. It's fine. I would like to have had a discussion. I do think it's a good question. For someone like me, I don't get why people join the armed forces. I'm not saying those people are stupid. I'm not saying those people are idiots. I'm not saying those people are wrong. I'm saying I don't get why people do. I could never do it. The question I'm asking is, why do some people join the armed forces? If you've joined, what did you join for? What did you get out of it? When you were sat there signing up, is that how you do it? Do you sign up? I don't know. Let's assume you do. When you were sat there signing up, were you thinking, how am I going to cope if I have to kill someone? What if my friends get killed? What if my leg gets blown off? Do those thoughts go through your head? 35 minutes left. 03453 00 9956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call out. And I know what Cliff is... my father-in-law... constantly, if we go to museums or gallery, quite often we're abroad with him, will tell me the history. Well, he won't tell me the history of something. He'll do it like a quiz. So, Iain, do you know why this monument is so important? No, I don't, Peter. Just tell me. I'll forget, but just tell me. 03453 00 9956.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
This Suarez thing, I want to talk about this. It kind of covers so many different aspects. In terms of football, I don't like football, don't like the World Cup. Suarez is the only thing that's got me talking about the World Cup. The only thing that's made me think, do you know what? I wish I'd seen that game. He plays for Liverpool, I've found out, and he's been urged by FIFA to seek help during his 4-month suspension for biting an opponent. OK, so part of me thinks, yeah, you know what, it's kind of cool he did that. But it does have an influence elsewhere, doesn't it? It has an influence with not with my kids, they're too young, but maybe with your kids, and it has an influence in the playground. It's being reported this morning a 7-year-old boy is facing suspension or expulsion from school after biting another child during a football match. It's alleged that the schoolboy from Suffolk... I'm not going to say his name. We don't need to name a 7-year-old boy, do we? We don't need to name and shame a 7-year-old boy. It's alleged that the schoolboy from Suffolk told teachers he'd done it because that's what footballers do. Has he done that because he's copied Suarez, or has he done that because he's a young boy? My boys are biters. I used to be a biter. We can speak to parenting coach Sue Atkins, who's written an article about children who bite called Vampires at the Nursery. Sue, biting in young children, and I'd imagine in young boys more than girls, is quite common, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is when they're toddlers, but not when they're 27-year-old football players at the World Cup.
What age does it kind of stop? 7 seems a little bit old for me to be biting.
Yeah, no, it does. It is definitely. I mean, usually toddlers bite for a reason. I mean, mainly it's because they're teething when they're little. Sometimes it's because it's sensory exploration. You know, they put everything in their mouth, don't they?
Yeah.
And then from around about 9 months old, depending on the maturity of the little one, they begin to make that connection that their actions have consequences on the people around them. So, you know, if they're frustrated or a bit cross about something, they will pull something and bite it because they're cross or they're a bit frustrated. But they soon learn, because mum reacts or the child that they've bitten reacts quite dramatically with a scream, that that's not, you know, a good idea. Then, of course, you see, with sibling rivalry, you've got to be careful that toddlers don't then just discover they can gain attention that way from you, because any attention's better than no attention. And then sometimes they do it because they're they're mimicry. They're copying a behaviour perhaps they've seen at the nursery or somewhere like that. And then there's lots of reasons, but usually it's frustration, tiredness or stress.
My 4-year-old is a little bit of a biter, not as much as he used to be, but if him and his younger brother are having a little play fight or something, he will quite often go for the sneaky bite. And he knows it's wrong because he'll look to see if I'm watching. If I'm watching, he won't do it.
Sure. Well, you know, the reason also when they're younger is they don't have the vocabulary. They're not as articulate and they can't speak as quickly for, you know, expressing their thoughts, perhaps. But as they grow older, like 4, 5 and 6 and 7, they are more able to communicate and express themselves. And it's a habit that you have to train them out of. You may well have to repeat it a number of times. You know, the thing is also to get calm. I have an imaginary pause button. Press your imaginary pause button. Take a breath. It detaches you from the situation just ever so slightly. And then say to the child that's been bitten, I will sort you out in a minute. I know what's happened. I will help you. And then, you know, also don't give all your attention to the biter, because often that's what happens. You go flying off the handle to the child that's bitten because you're so cross about it, and they get the attention that they need. So you actually need to have that balance between playing that and giving more attention then to the child that has been bitten.
And what are you supposed to say to them? That don't do that, that hurts.
Yeah,
that doesn't have much impact, does it?
Yeah, no, you know, of course say, you know, stop that, that's not right, you're hurting somebody. And, I mean, other people sense, you know, don't they, the old-fashioned old wives' tales is go up and bite them yourself, but that's no good, because what are they learning from that?
Well, now listen, Sue, you said that. Can I tell you the story that happened to me? When I was 3, I was a biter. I would bite everything. And the end of my mum's tether were, I bit my older sister, and I also bit the cat. Toby put his paw in my mouth. I bit his paw and threw him down the stairs.
Oh.
And I know, what a vicious little so-and-so. And my mum said, why did you bite Toby? And I said, well, he put his paw in my mouth. Her treatment was, and I remember it so vividly, I was 3, was she got me in the living room, we both knelt on the floor, she rolled up my sleeve and she bit my forearm.
Oh, my
and it flipping hurt!
Yes!
And I never bit again, though, Sue.
Well, there you are. But, I mean, there must be better ways to do it than that, because, I mean, no, and a strong no with a very big expression behind it, and not just this half-hearted. And most people do, when they see something like that, do react with horror, don't they? And that's why we saw that with the soirees thing, because, I mean, it's just unacceptable adult behaviour. And to do it 3 times, I watched the game, because I love football, so, you know, it was quite extraordinary. And then to see the poor chap, you know, show the teeth marks in him, it's quite awful. And, of course, this is the trouble. This is the topic, really, is that children do look to people who are in the limelight and footballers. They look up to them, and they are role models, whether they like it or they don't like it, or whether they're able to cope with it or not. Children will look to them. And, of course, this incident is one of the first to show that a child has definitely copied something he'd seen a famous footballer do.
I was thinking in the week, Sue, how have we got it so wrong that we look up to... how can I put this politely? I can't. Idiots. Why are we bothered about Suarez? Why are we bothered about David Beckham? Why are we bothered about Kim Kardashian? Why aren't our kids looking up to proper people? You know, like firemen and women and doctors as heroes.
Teachers, nurses, yeah. I don't know, really. It's a culture, hasn't it?
It's weird, isn't it?
I don't know when it began and when it changed. I mean, is it way back with... I mean, that's not way back probably for a lot of people, but Georgie Best was my hero when I was growing up, and what a fantastic footballer and good-looking chap and all that. And that's when they got all the money and the fame, and football took off in ridiculous ways. Because when you actually think of what a footballer earns per week compared to a nurse or or a teacher, is quite extraordinary. But also, children do need strong role models, and I think they look up to their fathers. And because of lots of changes in society around, marriages and breakups and divorces and all the rest of it, we need those strong role models. Even if they're not necessarily your own father, perhaps it could be somebody that you try and guide your child towards looking up to, that has similar values that you want your child to learn. It's about the values and what they actually represent, isn't it? Could be an uncle, could be an auntie, it doesn't have to be a man, but of course it is trying to guide them to have those values that are of importance,
Sue, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Sue Atkins, parenting coach, written an article about children who bite vampires at the nursery. There's so many different things here. Let's explore this slightly, shall we? Just give me a second to set up my stall, and then you can come and partake in any of the goods you fancy. First of all, your kids, are they biters? How did you deal with it? My mum bit me. My mum used to give me a wallop as well if I was naughty. Never did me any harm. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right. And I'm still thinking about whether I can take her to the European Court of Human Rights and get a few grand out of her for that bite. If your kids are biters or were biters, how did you deal with it? Suarez, kids, this kid, obviously, if what we hear from the story is true, was looking up to him, respected him, but that to one side for a second. Should we not be celebrating him as one of the world's greatest footballers? He's an artist, right? And artists don't play by conventional rules. They follow their own tune, baby. They do what they need to do. So, should we be celebrating Suarez? And here's a question that I don't think we'll get an answer for. But it's intrigued me in the week, thinking about this. Why are our heroes and our kids' heroes football players, women with big bottoms, pop singers? Why are they not surgeons? People that raise £1 million for charity. My father-in-law was in the independent top 100 list of people. I don't quite know what the title was, because he's a cyclist and he's raised a load of money for charity. He was in that list. Very proud of him. Why aren't the people on that list? Why aren't people who've overcome great difficulties, a firewoman who saved a baby from a burning building, why aren't they our heroes? Instead, we look up to people who get paid, 150 grand a week for kicking a bit of a windy bag around. Lots to think about, although I suspect the last 30 minutes of the show are going to be full of we. 03453 00 9956.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6. The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
I suspect that's the way. I think, how long have I been working here for now? 7, 8 months? I think I've kind of got the measure of you. And we're going to go for such big concepts as to why footballers are heroes, or are we going to go for wee-wee? I think I know where we're going to go. Oh, no, we've got a call on Suarez. Morning, Gordon.
Good morning, Lee. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. What do you want to say?
Right, Suarez. If you call him an ambassador to the game of professional football, you're an idiot. Because I see that guy as an animal. Nothing else but an animal. No professional player should be allowed to turn around and bite an opponent. That is disgraceful. And the FA and FIFA should have given him a life ban.
Now listen, Gordon, I hadn't used the word WM, but... this is where we are. I hadn't used the word ambassador, but I think that's a pretty good word for him. He's made football exciting, passionate. What a dull and flaccid World Cup it's been so far.
Iain, it's been a great World Cup, but you can't turn around and say that guy is an ambassador or one of the world's greatest footballers, strikers, that's lived, because he ain't. Pelé never done it, Eusebio never done it, Batistuta has never done it. So you come back to me and turn around and tell me that guy is one of the world's greatest strikers.
Well, again, I've not said... I don't know what his football prowess is. I don't know if he is one of the world's greatest strikers or not. All I know is that he has got me and several people I know who are not interested in football in the slightest talking about the World Cup. Gordon, thank you very much for that. 03453 009956 is the phone number if you want to give us a call on anything we're talking about. Lee's on the line. Morning, Lee. Lee, are you there? No, we'll go to Debbie. Hello, Debbie.
Hello.
Morning, Debbie. What would you like to say?
Well, urine is supposed to be good for your compost.
Oh, is it?
Yes, on the Radio 4 Gardeners programme, the experts were saying how good it was. Go out late at night, wee on your compost, and it does it good.
Oh,
there you go.
Has it tempted you?
No.
Oh.
No, I'll let someone else do that.
Could you ever drink it, Debbie?
No. I wouldn't mind soaking my feet in it if it did any good, but no, I wouldn't drink it, and I don't think I'd put it on my face, no.
I'm sat back in my chair, I've got my shoes off. I always take my shoes off when I do the radio. I've got my shoes off, and I'm kind of imagining a bowl of warm urine.
Yeah, well, that's not so bad.
I imagine that would feel quite nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then wash your feet afterwards, though.
Oh, yeah, got to wash.
It's smelly, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it does stink. But the thought of I've got a pint glass with water in front of me. The thought of that being yellow and warm and smelling all musty.
No.
I couldn't drink it.
And it's not always yellow either. You know.
No.
It just depends what you've eaten, I suppose, isn't it? But no, it's good for your compost. If you've got compost in the garden, go and have a wee on this and do it good.
Debbie, thank you very much indeed. Excellent stuff. Here we go. Random irritations. I'm glad to note, WM listeners, that the majority of you are of a certain intelligence, apart from the woman who phoned up right at the start of the show and had a go at me because, what was it? You're having a go at us left, right and pig in centre, she said. All because I thought, and I stand by this, if you read Harry Potter books over the age of 13, there is something wrong with you. They are children's books. And guess what, adults? There are some really good adult books out there. You don't need to read kids' books. You don't need to sit there and read Snail and the Whale unless you've got a child with you. We're asking random irritations. Chris says, what annoys me is when people say, you turn round and say to me, they do. You get people recounting conversations. So I turned round and said to her, oi, stop that. And then she turned round and said to me, I will not stop it. So I turned round to her and said, you will stop it or there'll be trouble. And then she had the cheek to turn round to me and say... Chris says, why do so many people in the West Midlands gyrate before they say anything? That's a good point, that. Helen's in Stafford. Morning, Helen.
Good morning.
Helen, what would you like to say?
Morning, Lee. Can I make two comments?
Of course you can, go on.
Thank you. Biting is my first, and it's only a general thing.
Yeah.
I have my youngest daughter was a biter, and her sister, who was older, was walking up the slide, and she bit her bum. And I went, don't do that. She came down, went up, and bit her again. So I bit her back. And she went, oh, that hurt. I said, now you know how your sister feels. Never did again.
How long ago did you do this?
Lucy would have been about 3. Annie would have been about 5.
I don't know how old they are now, so... sorry, so when...
And it never happened again. I said,
okay,
did that hurt you? She went, yes. Do you think that hurt Annie? Yes. So are you going to do it again? No.
It's funny, because my mum did that to me, as I've just said, and I've had other people of a similar age to me who said, oh, yeah, no, my mum gave me a little bite. Yeah. And it does work. But we can't bite children, can we? There has to be a better way of educating them.
Well, how do they know it hurts?
Yeah, no, I'm struggling to argue with this. I'm struggling to argue with this point, to be honest.
The other thing I will say about heroes...
Yeah.
You were saying that, you know, the heroes are the people on the football pitch, the footballers, or the netball players, or the tennis players. My father worked on a construction site, and in Banbury, in 1973, he was buried alive. And the heroes were the guys who were on the site with him. He survived. The guys who were on the site with him. We have the police, the ambulance service, the fire service. He was 25 foot down in a down. He was doing pipe laying. Those guys never got one accolade for doing that. They saved my father's life.
He came out alive, did he?
Pardon?
They saved his life?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a relief, wow.
And we, through WM, we got, what we did, we got everyone together. I got in touch with the fire service, the ambulance service, the police, and we had a reunion down in Banbury, the pub where Dad was nearly died, and we got everyone together, and it was in the Banbury News, and it was getting everyone together to say thank you for what those guys did for my dad, and that is what the heroes are. It's not
I agree.
some guy who is kicking a ball on a football pitch, or Wimbledon. They're not heroes.
How have we got the world so wrong, Helen, that kids have got pictures of Suarez and Wayne Rooney up on their wall and not of one of the blokes that saved your dad or a nurse that's just saved a baby? How have we got it so wrong that we look to the wrong people to be our heroes?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got photographs from the paper of where they're picking my dad up out of the trench.
Oh, man.
And where his leg is completely gone, and they're picking him up. And that was on the front. That was on the frontline news, and it was on the news in the Midlands.
Is your dad still with us?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
has he got grandkids?
Yeah, he's got 12.
Now,
But
listen,
if it
fair
hadn't
play.
been for the emergency services,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have had them.
Hasn't he got one of the greatest granddad stories of all time, though? Kids, do you want to hear the time about when I was buried alive? What a great story for him to tell. Thank you very much for that, Helen. All granddads have got good stories. Some are better than others. But imagine being able to say, kids, come and sit round. Do you want to hear about the time I was buried alive on a building site? It is interesting, this heroes thing, and maybe we'll explore this more on another show. How have we got it that we look up to, thick footballers who get paid 150 grand a week, and some of them are thugs? Why are people who build why are not people who build houses heroes? Have you ever tried to build a house? I bet it's really hard. Imagine how difficult it is to build a house from scratch. You're not just doing up a house, you are building one. Why are those people not our heroes? We can talk about that this morning, and maybe we'll consider it for another show as well. 03453 009956. Last 20 minutes of the show now will be an excellent time to give me a call before Adam Bridge comes on at midday. May's in Solihull. Good morning, May.
Good morning, Ian.
What would you like to say?
I would just like to say, having listened to Helen, that my youngest child was a biter as well.
Yeah.
And I cured her the same way.
You did a bite?
I did a bite, and she didn't bite again.
Now, when you say bite, was it a gentle thing, or did you really chomp down on her?
I bit her, the same as she bit her brothers and sisters. And she never did it again.
Oh, I'm laughing because you sound like my mum. I bit her. You really did go for it, didn't you?
Well, yes, I'd got 6 kids, and I couldn't have had them all squabbling and fighting and biting, so you put a stop to it before it got started, Ian.
But you can't, listen, I'm really one against violence against children. I could never hit my boys, and I do think once you hit a small person, you've kind of lost the argument. But I'm struggling to see a way around the biting argument, because it happened to me and it worked, and the boys don't listen to the, oi, stop biting your brother. They don't listen to that.
Has no effect whatsoever.
You're thinking I should go home and sink my teeth in him tonight?
That's right.
I'm tempted.
He won't do it again.
I'm tempted. Ever drunk your own wee, May?
Well, the reason I rang up, when I was young, many, many moons ago, people used to soak their feet in wee if they'd got chilblains.
Oh.
And my mother had 3 daughters. And
Yeah.
every day she used to wipe our face with a wet nappy.
Oh,
because
no!
She used to say it kept away spots. Now, let me assure you, none of us girls ever had acne.
Oh, but you never had boyfriends either if you stank a wee-wee.
Oh, well, we were growing up then. We didn't stink a wee-wee. We didn't do it once we were out of nappies. But all my children, once a day, I used to wipe their face with a wet nappy, and none of my children had spots. They've all got lovely complexions. So it does work.
How long ago was this?
Well, my eldest son is 64.
Oh, OK, so a while ago.
Yes.
And do they ever say, Mum, do you remember when you used to wipe nappies on our face?
Well,
What were you thinking?
They don't remember. They
Right.
don't remember, Ian. But they've all got nice skin, they've all got nice complexions. And as I say, I've got two sisters. I'm 82, and I've still got a nice complexion, although I say it myself.
Do you not do it now? Do you not get a pair of your knickers now and do it?
No.
No? Oh, OK.
No, I wouldn't do it now.
Good for you. Part of me wants to say thank you for the call, and part of me wants to say never call me again. Oh, it's so funny. When producer Joe said, I've got a great guest, it's a woman who drinks her own urine, I thought, oh, that'll be a nice 10 minutes of radio. I didn't realise that the rest of the show... Oh, Doreen wants to call in and talk about it. I didn't realise the rest of the show would be you calling in with your stories about it. I do hope I'll be back next week. I've got a feeling my boss is listening, going, right, let's see if we can find somebody else. 03453 009956. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz Saul.
Thank you, Ian. We're getting word that it's looking rather slow on the M42. In fact, I'll just look at the Highways Agency cameras. There's quite a bit of congestion from 3A at the M40 interchange and 3 at the Portway and Redditch turns. It's looking rather congested, as I say, as you make your way around there. You also find the weather's not looking too good either. It's rather soggy and a lot of surface water and spray on the carriageways in that area as well. So be very careful out and about currently. Rather heavy rain shower. Disruption in the centre of Birmingham is possible. There's various restrictions, including Broad Street closed from Sheepcote Street to Paradise Circus because of an Armed Forces Day event. There's also an Armed Forces Day event going on in Albury, and Freeth Street is closed until 6 o'clock this evening in the town centre. A number of temporary road closures in Lichfield because the homecoming parade by the 3rd Battalion Mercian Regiment, that gets underway in just under 15 minutes' time. And on public transport, there's disruption which continues on Virgin train services all the way between Birmingham New Street, Edinburgh Waverley and London Euston. It's because of a broken down train in the Lockerbie area. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
A Copa do Mundo no Brasil.
Here we go to the knockout stages of the World Cup.
The World Cup. Today at 5, Brazil versus Chile. Then at 9, Colombia against Uruguay.
Brasil 2014.
It is incredible. World Cup drama here in Brazil.
Brazil 2014 across the BBC.
Right, look at the time. Flipping it, it's flown by this morning. There's only 12 minutes of the show left. If you want to give us a call, now would be an excellent time. Maybe you've been kind of umming and ahhing all morning. Oh, maybe I'll give him a call. Maybe I won't give... Now will be a good time. OK, 03453 009956. Shippo Hippo on Twitter says, I'm very concerned that WM are promoting eugenics and fascism. I thought Shippo was joking until I read his other tweets. Now I'm not so sure. We're asking the question. We're allowed to ask questions. Should people over a certain age not get operations on the NHS? I'm not saying that's what we're promoting. I'm not saying that's my ideal. I'm just asking the question, Shippo. Shippo said, why should the elderly feel the need to justify their existence? You need to be taken off the air for promoting eugenics. Fascist. Give us a call. It's all very well having a little poke on Twitter and stuff. Give us a call. Those who've been listening for a while should know. Pretty much everybody is welcome on here. Don't swear. Don't be libel us. That's it. Yeah, don't be libelous. You can pretty much get on, OK? If you want to phone up and say I'm rubbish, you can come on. I'd like you to stay for the conversation, not just do a hit and run. If you want to come on and be racist and homophobic, do you know what? Within the confines of the discussions we're having, you're welcome to. Expect to be challenged, that's all. Expect to be challenged, expect to be questioned. There are some radio shows, on some radio stations where people come on and they make their point, however offensive and obnoxious it is. Thanks very much for your call. Let's go to the next caller. I can't work like that. I have to question you. Even if I agree with you, I'll question you to try and work out why I agree with you and why we've reached that same point of view. I think it works. 03453 009956. Dorothy's on the line. Morning, Dorothy.
Hello, good morning.
What would you like to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say that you are very uncompromising. Upon all the callers that have called about the urine, telling you that you should drink your own urine to cure diseases in your body, you're still skeptical about it.
I think it sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I think you're disgusting and all.
you cheeky little sausage.
You cheeky little bugger. You cheeky little bugger, you are.
All right, what's your language? That's a category C. Sorry if anyone was offended. Now, so you drink your urine, do you? Hello? Has she done a hit and run?
Everything.
Oh, she's there. Do you drink your urine?
Yes, look, in the Bible, in Proverbs 5:15, shall I read it to you for you to hear? This is from the Word of God.
You don't need to read me. You don't need me to. You don't need to read the Bible to me.
Yes, I need to read the Bible because whatever is not in the Bible is not in this world, right?
Right.
And
Okay.
it says, drink your own urine so that your life will be longer. And in verse 17, it says, drink your own urine and also love the wife of your youth.
Love the wife of my what?
Of your youth. The wife of your youth. You know, somebody you knew right from the word go that you didn't mess about before you met her.
So you're saying I should marry a child?
It says, marry the wife, the girl that you fell in love with from the word go.
No. Kerry wouldn't be interested in me now. I've not seen her for about the 25 years.
You know what? You mean the girl? Yeah, you are dishonest, weren't you?
Sorry?
You were dishonest.
She cheated on me! So when was the last...
I'm not surprised the way you argue with people. I'm not surprised you said that you...
Well, you are bonkers. When was the last time you had a nice cup of warm wee-wee then, Dorothy?
Yeah,
Dorothy!
What did you say?
When was the last time you had a nice cup of warm wee-wee?
Well, some years back, my junior brother, I was suffering from asthma, right?
So you're not doing what the Bible says. So you're being dishonourable in the eyes of God.
No, I am doing it, but not often.
Well, you should do it more often. It's in the Bible.
No. It doesn't mean that because it's in the Bible. I'm telling you that you should do it. You shouldn't do it every minute. You do it when you remember or when you think of it, but not every day.
So, Dorothy, you've remembered to do it now. Are you going to go and have a nice glass of wee-wee after this phone call?
Of course I will. What's wrong with drinking your own? It's not drinking somebody else's.
It's disgusting! It's disgusting! I've said it. There we go. I've expressed an opinion. I'll get in trouble for that, but it's true. Dorothy, thank you very much indeed. Flipping heck. By the way, this isn't the main show of the day, dear listener. We're merely the warm-up act for the main attraction that comes on at 12. It's Adam Bridge. Morning, Adam.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. I have to ask you the question.
No, I've never.
Good.
But there's a but that goes with that. When I was little, my mum did say I had chilblains on my feet, and she said the best thing to do is to wee on them.
Yeah.
So I did.
Did you do it?
Yeah, of course.
Did it work?
You know, I don't remember whether it did or not, actually. I can't... I think it stank, obviously, as these things do. But Mum, bless her cotton sock, she's 84. In her day, apparently, it was the thing to do. Anything on your feet, chilblains, anything like that, a bit of wee is the answer.
The thing is, soaking my feet in a bucket of it, I could quite understand that, be warm and comforting. I've heard rumour that if you get warts on your hand, you're supposed to soak your hands in urine as well. But it's the actual act of drinking a glass of it. I'll be honest, that's disgusting.
I'm a bit. How do you get a bucket full of wee? Do you have to collect it over a few days? Because maybe I'm different to everybody else, but there's not enough for me to soak my feet in. I'm sorry.
dearie me. I think we're both going to be in trouble for this. Adam, what's coming up on your... I know. What's coming up after midday, please?
You won't like it. We're going to talk about the World Cup between 12 and 2. But we're not going to talk about teeth. We're going to talk to Paddy Power, see out of the last 16 who we think might be victorious. We're off to Wimbledon for a couple of visits. Do we like tennis, Ian? Is that on the radar? No, OK.
OK.
Let me try again. Athletics?
I don't mind. Yes, I used to be a bit of a sprinter. I like the sprints, the 400 metres, yes.
Oh, I mean, what kind of time are we talking? 47, 48 seconds?
I can't remember, 52?
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
I used to run for the county, OK?
Really?
And then one day I ran against a gentleman called Adrian Patrick, and who then went on to run for the country. And he was just so fast, I thought, I'm going to stop now. I used to like a bit of that, yeah.
Probably a good idea. Anyway, that's what we've got coming up, plus some great music as well, till 2.
Adam, nice to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. We've got another few minutes of the show.
Edgbaston,
Erdington,
Paisley, Gornal Wood. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM 95.6.
Deary me. We've not had an email from the boss yet, so either he's not listening or we've got away with it. Now, I'm confused as to where we go. Doreen. I think Doreen's next, aren't you, Doreen?
I'm bypassing the week because everybody said what I said. It's a cure for chilblains.
Okay, go on.
Said elderly people shouldn't have operations.
I didn't say that.
Well,
I asked the question.
All right. I think you ought to get your head in gear. You and I'm not quite double your age, but not far off it. Me and you both go in the hospital for the same operation. You could die next year. I could live another 20 years. You don't know. You don't know when you're going to die. My sister-in-law, she was in her 70s and she had a bypass, and that surgeon said, we know, Mrs. Jackson, you're getting on a bit, but he said you could live another 20 years. I could do somebody next week and they could die within 2 years.
Yeah, but Doreen,
nobody knows how long they've got to live.
No, they don't.
Whatever life you've got left, why shouldn't you live it in comfort?
Well, can I get a word in now?
Yeah, you can.
Thank you very much indeed. Doreen, the chances of me surviving a big operation are higher than the chances of you surviving a big operation. That's a fact.
You might think so. It depends on your constitution. Some people...
Exactly.
I might have a better constitution than somebody younger than me. You don't know.
It's unlikely. How old are you?
I'm one of them people. I can fall over, never broke a bone. I've never, ever been in hospital. So I might have a stronger constitution. Some people have 50 operations when they reach... I've never had operation. I'm nearly 80.
I wish they'd do an operation on your mouth. Sorry?
Well,
Sorry?
Probably allowed to think the same about you.
Yeah, you probably could. But
it takes one to find one, you know.
Doesn't it just? I'm glad we found each other, my darling. Listen, Doreen, I've got to move on because we're right near the end of the show. Thank you. Roger's in Kingstanding. Good morning, Roger.
Good morning. Yes.
I think you're the last call of the day on my show anyway. What would you like to say?
Yeah, well, there's two subjects I want to talk about. One is why you don't want to go in the forces, and you can't understand why people go into the forces. I went in years ago, and it was a career. And I enjoyed my time in the RAF. I was a regular for 5 years, and I can't understand why anyone doesn't want to go in the forces.
I don't want to kill people. I don't want to be killed. Those are two pretty good reasons, aren't they?
Well, I think you're a very selfish person. I think you should stand up for your country as we did and be counted.
I wish you called in earlier because we're going to run short on this. I don't think I am selfish, Roger, because I've got two boys. And I think if I were to put myself in a position of peril, then they could be orphaned. So I think it's actually a very generous thing I'm doing by not signing up. And also, what's wrong with not wanting to kill anybody?
I'm not talking about killing people. You are protecting your country. You are living the life that you deserve, and you get your rewards from that. I am very proud to have served for 5 years in the RAF, and I cannot understand why people would not want to join the RAF. It's very hard now to get into the services, especially the RAF.
Roger, for a second, I'm not knocking any of the great work that you've done, and I'm not criticising anybody who's joined the armed forces in the slightest, and I hope it's not coming across that way, but I could never join the armed forces because the thought of putting myself in mortal danger or the thought of killing somebody else, I couldn't do it. And that has to be respected, doesn't it?
No, well, it can be respected. What would happen if they reintroduced national service? Would you become a person that just would be a coward and not go?
Well, there's a difference between cowardice and objections. It depends what the war was for. It depends what exactly we were defending. But my initial thought, my knee-jerk thought, without much thought, would be, I wouldn't sign up.
Can I make a quick comment on the other
Roger,
subject?
you've got 15 seconds. 15 seconds.
Right, it's for the operations over 70.
Go on.
I'm 78 now, and I don't want to die in the next 2 years, so I hope I get all the operations I deserve that I paid
Roger,
for.
I've got to cut you short. Next time, try and call in earlier if you can, please, because you made some really good points. Bernie, Andy, producer Joe, thank you very much. Thank you to all of the calls we've had this morning. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It's midday. Oh, I can take a little breather. Thank you very much.
With full commentary of every Warwickshire cricket game this summer, exclusively online, bbc.co.uk/WM.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
Thank you very much, Iain. More next Saturday from 9. Good afternoon. Adam with you through till 2 today here at BBC WM 95.6. We'll get on the way after we've had the latest news, which comes from Nicole Pullman.
An independent investigation has found that missing paperwork and weak leadership led to the remains of unborn babies being kept in a hospital mortuary in the West Midlands for up to 4 years.